Greasing cogs inside the leviathan. 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 Up against the immovable object inside the leviathan. Up against the immovable object, the leviathan. Up against the immovable object, placing bets on illusional odds. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan. Bear witness to this phenomenon, a clear sickness as it's coming on. That's their business, so I carry on beating my fists on the walls of Babylon. And it's vicious, if you're a vagabond in the British Isles, it ain't Avalon. The ambitious escape to the Amazon, life is malicious, climbing the echelon. So we gotta break them chains, be personal best and make them gains. It's a hurtful mess, so abstain from eternal threats and a long campaign. Enough stress, but we don't complain, and I'm hopeful, so I won't refrain from a global test. Gotta maintain on a mobile flex with no disdain. Up against an immovable object, placing bets on illusional odds set. Yo, it's cruel from the onset, killing you slow is the usual project. Still thriving despite the drawbacks, ill right in decided formats. It's life, gotta ride it raw back. The mind's climbing, not wiping the floor mat. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan, keeping watching the eyes conspiring. Catch wind, sound up the siren, fuse the flames of the furnace is firing. Not expiring, expanding, inquiring to gain understanding. A fall from the top equals a crash landing. Don't get fooled by the devil's rebranding. They make the rules, but we got the game plan. They make the rules, but we got the game plan. Up against an immovable object. They make the rules, but we got the game plan. Placing bets on illusional odds. They make the rules, but we got the game plan. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan. 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 They make the rules, but we got the game plan. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan. They make the rules, but we got the game plan. You ain't with it? Get out the way, man. Short-sighted, take off the Ray-Ban. Sourcing ethical goods, not name brands. No bait plans, we execute. Blueprints get come with a fine tooth. The control system is not absolute. Revealing the truth is the way to recruit the youth. Collating a mountain of proof while they're stacking a mountain of lies. Cracking the code is eternally striving. Like drinking the fountain of life. Like a rhythm that I'm already riding, aiming to bring down the houses tonight. The mic's hidden with imminent rising. When I draw this run figure live. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan. 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 They make the rules, but we got the game plan. Up against an immovable object inside the leviathan. Up against an immovable object, the leviathan. Up against an immovable object, placing bets on illusional odds. Greasing cogs inside the leviathan.
Jamaica, 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 Jamaica.
My attack is a massive, it's got the power that snap. When I clap and I clap, because you know it's a rap. So you never can snap us, you know it's a trap. It's like a lyrical trap, me when we're running on traps. With the hammer or the guns, gonna smash it at 4. Gonna smash it and grab it, always looking for more. Drop them like a bad habit, pick up a curtain, we're bored. Beating fresh on the counter, so you know that it's raw. It's a lyrical miracle with a lyrical spill. Always keep it original like we went in the wheel. So you know that it's typical and we got the appeal. With a barrage of work, they get your lyrical shield. Got the keys to the city, now we got to unlock. Like a Taliban soldier, we're blowing up spots. If your head is a target, then we're licking it off. OCD is the hardest with your lyrical shot.
I'm coming with the rudeness, I proved it, I'm ruthless. Twist up your mind and work it out like a Rubik's. I do this, doing it for time, I pursue this. So stick up on the beat, verbally I spew this. Rudeness, intelligence, not crudeness. So stick on the beat with that smooth shit. OCD movement, ain't no room for no losers. 4 torn warriors covered in bruises. A single arrow cuts through 4 nooses. Don't confuse this with a scene from the movies. We stand firm that you'll never ever move. We penetrate deeper than the roots of an oak tree. OCD is enough to make you OD. Throw your hands in the air like you fucking know me.
Soldiers and rollers, the ones rolling. If you're an older or old group, if you're holding, put a heavy spliff in the air. If you're sick of any prick, then tell a prick while he's there. Watch us lift it. Man and calm spirits in the flesh. Mandolin guitars calm it to harmonise death. Heaven's chanting. While the snakes charm by the dead, the flow mantras. The holy Dalai Lama can bless his bananas. But I'm cast as nanas and nuts, so I clash with anybody. Twisting arms on my bruv, that's my brothers. Government's harm what I love, so I'm loving for this government. The armor's built up, I react. Take stand and defend what I'm building. It's a fact. Kill a man and defend what we're building, so relax. Take take a second for more. Progress to anything you want, but tend to your force. Let me bust this verbal soliloquy. You better trust it's the hottest shit from OCD. Original side for deliverers and back to the crowd. Any hype that they given us. I spit the high grade found by the Mujahideen. First we surveyed, then we chose to flood the scene. Surrounded by the filth, now it's squeaky clean. Being left on the shelf was never the dream. Watch us propagate the next breed of higher strains. And in a long way escape into dire straits. That's how the block plays when you're reaching higher planes. Forget the block days where you see the fire blaze. Flows are individual, never indivisible. Always been the case since back in the day. Been lyrical since DJ first scratched the play. Now it's typical, the sound boys are backing away.
Jamaica, 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 Jamaica.
How do I put it? It was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, what's the end goal? The end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. They want a one-world government, controlled by them. Everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip.
One, 2, 33. We are live. It's Friday night. It's 8 p.m. That means only one thing.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
Welcome back, guys. Big up Andy PG. How you doing,
Word
mate?
to your nan, word to your nan.
Yeah, we're back. It feels nice on a Friday night. We've got a special guest in the studio. He's waiting in the wings. We're going to be chatting to him very shortly, Mr. Lee Folen. But it is one of those Friday nights. It's Rise Above, and you are tuned into the right station. If you're adverse to the happenings of Clown World and you've started asking questions, you're in the right place. If you are a refugee of Clown World, if you're a sentient meat suit operator and you're tired of all the bullshit, you're in the right place.
It's clearly racist.
Thank you, Queer Starling. Thank you very much. Right, so, yes, big shout out to everyone in the chat. Who have we got tuned in already? Lord Doobsworth, Pamela Swan, Glitterati, Danny Street, I can see you there. LFX, Terry Sutherland. 84 people tuned in. Let's get out to at least 100 people early doors. I know it's nice weather outside. I know it's not the time to be in front of a screen watching a podcast, but don't forget, we've been looking after you guys for the last 5 years. You better look after
I've got
us.
a shout out here from Writers Liaison Officer's nan. Thank you.
Someone's nan to give you a shout out.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much. It's
Lovely.
about time.
We love that. We love that. Okay, right. So let's share the screen and let's just get rid of our usual business before we chat to this week's very interesting guest. Right. We are going to be doing some rather hard-hitting convos.
It's not in the Guardians, is it?
No, no, he's called Lee as well. This gentleman is on the front line of some pretty nasty stuff. We've been talking about these kind of subjects on the show, and we're going to be chatting to Lee in roughly about 20 minutes. It's going to be hard-hitting. We're pulling no punches with this conversation.
You might not, if you've got any kids present, you might want to send them off.
Yeah, because we're
somewhere safe.
We're going to be hearing about case studies and real happenings of what's happening on the front line in the fight against child groomers.
Also, as well, we will
Predators.
just say we just in case we've got any survivors of child groomers who may not want to bring up their past. Maybe you might not want to.
Yeah, we
sit this one out.
We very rarely do a trigger warning on Rise Above, but obviously, you know, this is a real world subject.
Well, and it's YouTube. Yes.
Patreon.
Yeah, we've got to be careful on YouTube. Right, okay. So, last live show, big shout out to Chris Smith at Atlantic Underground Podcast. That was a really good chat. You were quite impressed with Chris.
Yeah, really good, mate. He's actually one of my favourite guests we've had on.
Yeah, he's
from another podcast.
He's a quality bloke, and he's a very, very good orator. He's very eloquent, and I love listening to his take on things. We're definitely going to speak to Chris again fairly soon in the future. So that was our last live show. This is next week's live show. We're proper spoiling you guys at the moment. We say every other week is a live. We're back live again next week on the 4th of July. This is episode 155, and there's this guy called AY Audits. If you go on, PG.
We featured a little snippet of him on our Patreon. We did a little watch party of some of his work, and it is great.
He calls himself the hotel inspector.
He's doing some wonderful work.
And let's put it this way, he's not inspecting any normal hotels. He's probably been to almost every migrant hotel in the UK. This guy knows what he's doing. He's shining a light on...
He's a big lad as well.
Yeah, he's not
a big lad.
No one's pushing this dude around. He inspects these hotels and he shows you what's actually happening. I think he's doing great work. These auditors get a real mixed review. Some of them are complete dickheads, they're troublemakers, and some of them are doing great work. I think this guy is in the latter category. So we're very excited to speak to AY Audits next week. We've been really enjoying his videos. Who just said big up, rise above?
Big AG.
Big shout out to Big AG. I see Pops and Sons there.
Yeah, I was just.
Thank you for that. So that's next week. The hotel inspector.
Shout out to our wonderful moderators, Pamela Swan.
Yeah, big shout out to the moderators, all the Ramish family. Thank you for joining us. Right, so that's next week. Sorry, I just had to take my spliff. Right, 2 weeks after that.
Touch of dead air there, Michael.
Oh, yeah, we hate dead air around here, don't we? You should check other people's podcasts, mate. There's loads of dead air. Right, 18th of July, we've got Indigo. Online, he calls himself the Indigo Child. It's just straight Indigo. This guy's very interesting. He's quite a prolific, young, conscious... I don't like the word influencer. He's a content creator. And he's got some rather controversial views on... what should we say? The Islamification of Britain, the role of the Jesuits, and... This guy's ruffling a lot of feathers with what he's saying, so we're going to have a chat with him in 2 weeks. Big shout to Indigo.
Are we giving anything away tonight, Lance?
Absolutely. I was just going to come on to that. Thank you very much, Andy PG. A big shout to our sponsors, Dr. Kimchi, the cryptocurrency which is funding alternative practitioners that are treating the big C. We're not allowed to talk about alternative cures for the big C on YouTube.
How dare you?
But if you want to support people that are talking about it, you can buy this crypto coin and the profits go towards helping people with the big C. Big shout out to Dr. Kimchi. Okay.
We do need to have a chat with them soon, don't we?
Yeah,
we need to catch up with them.
We've got to catch up with them. Right, the Hotel Weekender is roughly 2 months away. Maybe it's about 7 weeks at the moment, I think. Yeah, it's 8 weeks away. As you guys know, the lineup is just getting bigger all the time. Allegedly, Dave, Archaics, Martin Leaker, Graham Moore, Wisdom of Mushrooms, nightly after parties. Some of the sickest discussions are going to be going down at Hotel Celebrity. August Bank Holiday Weekend. The tickets start at only £15. Let's take this off the screen. Let's stop just meeting each other in the comment section on the internet. Let's meet each other in real life. This is what these events are about, right, Andy PG?
That's it, mate.
Yeah, we're trying to give back to the community, and
have a hell of a weekend as well.
If you came to the last event or you've been to a Rise Above event before, put some flames or some explosions in the comment section. Give us some hashtag. Let us know what you think of Rise Above events. Just let people know that haven't been to them before. Here's some good news. If you are a producer of artisan crafts, bespoke wares, or a new product you want to showcase, or you're doing treatments or something like that, we have spaces for a few more stall holders. We've got about 5 or 6 stalls at the moment.
Serious sellers, guys. Yeah, we don't want anyone slinging acid, right, or anything like that.
So far, we've got a vendor selling raw milk. We've got the mushroom lady with her tinctures. We've got the glitterati doing glitter and face painting. We've got Derek with his frequency machine.
That is going to be the shit.
The star of the show.
Shout out to my man Derek. He's a fucking badass.
So if you want to come to the event and have a stall, or if you're already coming to the event and you want a stall, stalls start at 50 quid for the whole weekend, 3 days, and you get to keep all your profits. Send us an email, riseabovelivestream@gmail.com. Right, so who's at the event? Archaics, Wisdom of Mushrooms, allegedly Dave, Graham Moore, Marcus Payne, Tom W's, Inspector Veg and Ryan Sanders. We've got 2 of the best conscious rappers in the UK at the event. They're going to be going back to back with me, 3-way showdown. It's going to be something special. And these are the extra new additions. We've got Flat Earth Social. They're going to be telling us what they do when they meet up once a month for all the Flat Earth gang. We've got Johnny Fogg, who's going to be serenading people with a guitar in between talks. Sister and Sounds on the decks, Magix, MC Manic, and in Raw Academy, which is our learning portal, we've got Althea Finch talking about her pain-free method to eliminate pain without drugs. That's got to be something worth listening to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be there.
So tickets are on sale right now. They start only £15, but here's the good news. We like to do competitions and giveaways at Rise Above on our Friday night. And we are doing a giveaway right now. It's going to happen
Right now.
Right now.
In real time,
starting right now.
Let me tell you.
You can win a
Unbelievable.
pair of tickets for the event. The competition runs from now.
That's right, Lee. We've got a Jimmy Savile button, mate. That's right.
I was going to warn Lee about the button soon.
Sorry about that.
We didn't download it particularly for this show. It's always been there. Right. So, yeah, if you want to win a pair of tickets, all you need to do is sign up to our Patreon. It's essentially a raffle. It costs £3 to enter. So for your £3, not only do you enter the raffle, you also get all the content on our Patreon.
You hijacked the lighter already, Lance.
I already have hijacked the lighter.
Cheers, thanks.
Now, don't worry. If you're already subbed to the Patreon, I'm going to be giving 2 tickets away on there as well. You guys don't miss out. That competition will happen tomorrow. So if you're really smart, you could sign up to Patreon now, potentially win the tickets, and then you could go into the prize draw on there and maybe win 4 tickets.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah, see? So we're always giving back. Remember, our Patreon is only £3 and you get shitloads of stuff for it. This is what's going to be released on Sunday night, the 1.5 hours of the interviews that we did down Bournemouth Beach. Andy PG, what happened when we hit the road and started asking people questions?
We spoke to a full socialist.
And he had purple hair.
Full socialist with purple hair. We spoke to an array of people, didn't we? There was many peasants we talked to.
We spoke to a member of the Christian Reich.
We did. To finish off, actually, he was the last one. We spoke to some members of the Indian community.
We spoke to students. We spoke to holiday makers, and we asked them all the questions about what.
We spoke to fucking random people. You remember the woman with the orange hair in the gardens? She just came along and started talking about it.
Yeah.
And Greg at the top.
Yes.
Shout out to my man Greg.
We
don't know. These guys might actually be watching because we gave them a lanyard, some stickers with the QR code on. So shout out to, if you're actually watching now, shout out to everyone who we spoke to when we went and interviewed you.
We actually had a great day just speaking to members of the general public in Bournemouth Town Centre, and the whole...
Lance was gobbing off into a megaphone.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
With a siren.
If you sign up to the Patreon, not only do you get entered to win free tickets to the event, you get to watch the full feature-length footage of us in the town centre. It's an hour and a half long. We're calling it the Baywatch special.
Edition.
Yes. So, yeah, Glitterati says she cannot wait for that to drop. Oh, big shout out to Diego Tequila. He's tuned in.
If you can't wait for that, guys, you want to see what we're going to record this Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, that's really going to upset people.
Yes, it will.
Okay. Right, so just before we start with our guest this week, let's just warm it up with a few bits from Clown World. Who remembers this that we showed on the last live show?
Absolutely, Michael.
Right,
How could we forget?
This diagram apparently shows the difference in the diversity of thought from people that lean to the left of the political spectrum and to the right of the political spectrum. This came out a few weeks ago and it caused a big stir. We noticed that the blue political thought...
It's a fucking Star of David.
It looks
guys.
a bit like
It's
the
a
Star of
of
David,
guys, let's be honest.
So anyway, we showed this the other week. Here's where I'm going with this. Then this got produced. Now, for anyone that's not familiar with this diagram, is this called Plato's Cave?
Yeah.
It is. No,
I'm not one of the best memes I've ever seen.
This is a deep philosophical meme. So obviously the people sat down here in the bottom of the cave looking at the projection on the wall of the puppet masters here. They are seeing the blue Star of David left for, and the people outside on the outer world are looking at the diverse thought of where you can actually have your own opinions
in nature.
In nature, yeah. So
instead of in some fucking communist cave.
Yeah, communist cave. It was just a little follow-up. That's all.
That's awesome.
I thought this one was highly funny, right? Because we've done a lot of work with Matt Landman, the geoengineering expert recently. He had his protest last week in London.
Went very well.
A huge success in Hyde Park. He had probably about 1,000 or so people there talking about the lines in the sky and geoengineering. Well, look at this. In America, this is from the 8th of June, not too long ago. 8 US states seek to outlaw chemtrails, even though they aren't real. So
even though they're not real.
So instead of asking why 8 US states are outlawing something that you thought they weren't real, They're just basically saying that these states have been taken over by conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Wow. While simultaneously, we're spending £66 million to dim out the sun.
Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense.
At the same time, simultaneously to that, we're building solar farms.
Yeah, that makes it even funnier.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
And I thought, we always like to look at the
where's
names.
my fucking clown
Yeah, you
noise?
need a clown
Yeah.
button. Come on. I always like to look at the names of these reporters who are doing these stories. Edward Hellmore.
Hellmore, yeah.
More
More hell, please.
Spray some more lies in the sky, bring some more hell. Cheers,
Please,
Edward.
I want some more.
All right, this one caught my eye as well this week. Lee, did you see this one?
I mean, we haven't even introduced Lee yet.
No, we're going to introduce him in a minute. A group of Labour's new logo looks like a group of rent boys holding
Tossing
each
each
other's
other off. Shout out to Queer Stalin, his Ukrainian rent boys.
It's clearly racist.
Yeah, this is obviously following off the Ukrainian-Slovakian rent boy story with Queer Stalin the other week. Yeah.
They had to have the fucking brown person in there as well, didn't they? At the bottom right.
Well, they've got a green, red, yellow, and blue person as well,
Yeah.
and they're all holding each other's dicks. Okay, so
Multicultural, Lance.
yeah, diversifying. We were talking about the Indian air crash last week and how it was a little bit iffy that guy walked free.
Just strolled out the plane, Lance.
Oh, look, that was a
Just
massive,
walked out of it, mate.
massive fuck off fireball, just walked straight out, no problem. So a dead Boeing whistleblower had raised the alarm about this plane that crashed in India. We were also talking about the angle that Boeing seems to be in the headlines almost every week from some bolt falling off the plane. It's almost
Planes just falling out the sky willy-nilly.
Yeah, just crashing. So
Helicopters going into planes that have just taken off.
So not only did a whistleblower raise the alarm about this plane, it's a dead whistleblower, just to add more fuel to the flames, excuse the pun. So I thought that was quite interesting, just following up.
More fuel to the flames.
Yeah, what we were talking about last week.
Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
And obviously, we didn't even pick up on this last week. We were talking about all the anomalies with this thing. There was the fire engine with the number 33 on it.
The helmets, the two fire helmets.
The fire helmets
yeah,
with 33 on. Well, it turns out from takeoff to crash, guess how many seconds that plane was in the air?
Don't.
This is all from the mainstream media. Officially, the flight time was 33 seconds.
Raw.
What are the chances of that? Okay, we're flying through it here. So there's also been a lot in the last couple of weeks. I listened to BBC
I read a
Radio.
report, 33 million people in Britain are mentally ill. No, that's not.
Thank you,
I
Piers
listen
Morgan.
to BBC Radio Radio 2 every day at work, and they've been talking about nuclear war, attacks on the UK. You heard this, PG?
Mate, we recorded on Patreon 2 days ago when we said about they're gonna Brits have been warned to stockpile tinned goods and toilet paper and such.
Yeah. The UK conscription. What's being called up, convened for you. This comes around every couple of years, but they're really going on about this now. Britain must issue World War III survival guide, from rations to nuclear hotspots.
Why doesn't Queer Stalin just get a fucking team of his rent boys to fight for us?
Right. Now, obviously...
Does anyone actually want to fight for that retard, honestly?
Well, why would you want to fight for a country that's told you racist, right-wing bigot and,
I think at this point you'd be fighting for Islam.
Pretty much.
If you went to war for the UK.
Right. The reason I brought this up is because obviously last week everyone was saying, oh shit, World War III is going to break out. Well, I came across this video. It's 1 minute, 30 seconds long. Check this out just for a different point of view.
Bro, wasn't Israel and Iran about to start World War III?
Yeah, there were explosions, sirens, TikToks with red filters, and now just ceasefire.
12 days. That's how long the chaos lasted. Just enough for headlines to scream, while the Genius Act slid through the Senate like butter.
Wait, they signed peace over coffee or what?
It wasn't a war. Turns out it was just another theater for people.
So while we were doom scrolling,
they passed digital dollar infrastructure, biometric ID integration, financial behavior monitoring, and no one blinked because they were too busy asking, is this World War III?
Wait, didn't they say Iran's nuke sites got hit?
Yeah, and yet not a single mushroom cloud. No mushroom emoji in sight. Where's the fallout? Where's the radiation mess?
So you're saying...
I'm saying it was a distraction ritual. Controlled chaos to mask real control.
But why fake a war?
When you're distracted, you don't see what they're building behind the curtain. Because when you're scared, you obey.
And the Genius Act...
It doesn't just replace money. It replaces identity. You become a programmable user.
But people don't even know this past.
That's the point. Just like nothing ever happens. Your soul, willpower, health, and energy are drained daily while you sit in front of a screen, eat garbage, listen to lies, and argue about theatrical events. 2010, real money still existed. 2015, things got tougher, but manageable. 2020, inflation, virus, lockdowns. 2023, prices, rent, food, everything up. 2025, survival became the new normal, and no one noticed because it's happening slowly.
So what's next?
You're not walking into a future. You're sliding into a system, a biometric funnel, where freedom is an illusion with a progress bar.
So we lost and didn't even know?
Exactly. The world didn't end. It just got a new terms of service.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
There's a lot to take in there, especially with the fucked up game that we were going through, bouncing around.
Oh, what is that, the Minecraft or something?
I don't know.
I've never even heard of the Genius Act. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't, no.
Well, I think we probably need to follow that up.
Well, what do you remember what we posted on Patreon, what Becky S found, where she said, where it said that this is a complete theatre, they're literally bombing things that are like already designed for...
That would mark
for
the demolition.
Yeah.
Yep, very interesting. Okay, I thought this was hilarious. I just had to bring this on the Friday night. So this is a picture of like Israel with being bombed. The white smoke indicating a new Jeffrey Epstein has been chosen. Fucking hell.
Excellent.
So obviously I
saw this about 2 weeks ago.
This is taking the piss out of when they select a new pope by the smoke that comes out of the Vatican. They're saying a new Jeffrey Epstein has been chosen. I thought that was quality.
Top guy. Shalom.
Yeah, so it's like Trump has all of a sudden was doing whatever Israel wanted, and then this week he dropped the F-bomb.
He did drop the F-bomb.
You saw that?
Quite literally.
Yeah. So
he dropped the F-bomb after dropping bombs.
It's an evolving story as to exactly what's going on.
We all knew it was coming though. We reported months ago that he was awarded the Torah crown, for fuck's sake. Like,
yeah.
And he got $100 million from what's her name for his campaign.
You don't get that for being a bad guy, that's for sure. Right.
What you get for 100 million, Michael? You get to cleanse Gaza.
Yeah.
And you get to implement Jewish supremacism.
It's been a strong week for 33. It's also it was a new inferno in the UK this week. Health alert issued as parts of England set to hit 33 degrees.
The problem is you're a fucking retard.
Thanks, Andy PG.
Thank you, Mark Passio.
Another headline from this week, which I thought was really weird as well. Britain is one step closer to compassionate, kind death for all.
Again.
The problem is you're a fucking retard.
Kim Leadbeater. Sounds like she's going to beat you over the head with some lead, doesn't it? So they're obviously talking about these dignitas.
Looks like a dude.
It does look a bit like a dude.
If you flip it round, his name could be Mick instead of Kim.
Yeah, Mick Lee's better.
Mick.
So yeah, this is the assisted suicide bill, which is very, very controversial. Obviously, it was going to pass. That was pretty much a predetermined destination. We've covered some very weird stories around this about what's happening in other countries.
I don't know what the next slide you've got. I might ruin it if I say.
What? Well, I don't think
is it about abortion?
No,
because I think in the same week that they passed this, they also passed that you can abort up until
full term abortion. Yeah. No, someone else is posting about that this week, isn't it?
I think I might have actually got that wrong. I think Becky S investigated that, and it wasn't actually the case that you can just. I think they've decriminalised something. I have to look into that.
Okay.
Cancel that.
All right, Glastonbury is a national embarrassment. Why is that? It's Glasgow this week, isn't it?
It's a fucking national embarrassment.
Yeah, it's just gay, isn't
they
it?
had Marina Abramovic doing a fucking satanic ritual on the main stage.
I saw the video of Jeremy Corbyn there today talking about Donald Trump should build bridges, not walls. I was like, what? Like the massive wall?
Giant fucking wall that you've got out here.
People were also saying this today, that Glastonbury seems to have a more impressive border force than the UK does.
Yeah, I'd argue.
But what's really, really clownish is that the people inside Glastonbury are the ones that are shouting open borders and refugees are welcome. But they've paid to get into somewhere, and they're protected by this massive fence. See, they don't want people breaking into Glastonbury and getting in for free when they've paid. But they don't have the same respect for their own country.
No, of course they don't.
So I thought, oh yeah, check this out. This is great.
It's just more retardation, more leftist, liberal retardation.
This is some great AI work here. Check this out.
Are you excited for Glastonbury Festival?
Yes, I just want to hurry up and get in. It's pretty crazy that the Glastonbury border is 100 times better protected than the UK border, isn't it?
What's changed over the 40 years you've been coming here?
I used to bring a pack of condoms with me back in the day, but now the only protective rubbers I bring are my wellies.
Nice weather for the festival so far, isn't it?
Never mind the weather. Why don't you report on something important like the fact that it's £7 for a pint?
What does your T-shirt mean?
It means fuck capitalism.
Yeah, you do realise you've got an iPhone and you're wearing a Rolex. Are you enjoying the festival so far, sir?
Sorry, I've no idea what you just said. I'm completely off my fucking head.
Now, I reckon there's a good portion of people that wouldn't be able to tell that was AI.
I've had enough of these like AI interviews now. I've seen so many over the last couple of weeks. They're shit.
You're not impressed by them
No,
anymore?
not at all.
Okay, all right. Right, it's about that time. I'm just going to play a 30-second advert to tell you why you need to come to our event. And as soon as we come back from this advert, we're going to be speaking to this week's guest, Lee Folen.
Fancy spending a whole weekend away from Clown World? Well prepared to take off your tinfoil hat and join us at the next Rise Above Live in the Flesh Part 2 August Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender. With 3 days of engaging talks, panel discussions, interactive workshops, nightly after parties, speed dating, meet new friends, socialise, network and make connections from Bournemouth's golden sandy beaches. Located 10 minutes away from Bournemouth train station at the Celebrity Hotel, come and join us on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of August, this bank holiday 2025, and get your tickets on our website today.
Welcome back, comrades. Okay, so we've got a special guest this week, a person that I know from the combat sports world. I'm just going to get his camera on and we'll unmute his microphone. Lee Folen, mate, welcome to Rise Above.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Nice and close to that microphone, Lee.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah. Move.
You can pull it out if you like.
Yeah, pull it out. It's on an extendable arm. Yeah, you want it nice and close to you.
It's better.
Now, Lee, first of all, mate, thanks very much for making the journey down to the studio. A lot of the time, we're just speaking to people on webcams. It is nice.
I didn't even know Lee was coming into the studio tonight.
How was your drive down from South London, mate?
Long. No, it was okay. Sun was out. A few hours. It weren't bad.
Yeah. It could be a worse drive, but like I said, at this time of year, everyone's coming down to Bournemouth. Now, Lee, we know each other from the combat sports world. From my point of view, you're one of the top refs in the country. Work for you on a number of MMA shows. And from your point of view, I'm that crazy bastard that does ring announcing.
And the odd song to fill the gaps.
Oh yeah. It was what was that? Cage Collision. That was the first time I've actually sprayed some bars. There was a little gap in between some of the fights. It's like wacko and a garage instrumental. Let's show them how it's done.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. The crowd loved it.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get down to the nitty-gritty about what we're going to talk about tonight. What is your background? Martial arts, protection, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so as you already covered, involved in combat sports as a referee, but it all started back probably 2002 when I got involved with learning self-defense martial arts on a full-time level with an organisation called G-Cal Karate. So I went to them. They basically gave you this sort of pathway to make it a full-time job teaching martial arts. And I was very lucky to have probably my first proper mentor, leader as a martial arts, Sensei James Baldwin, who focused a lot on character development, just making you progress as a person, so you become a better instructor, understand it more. And that just led on, we've done that for a few years, competed, done other stuff, going around, talking to families, getting them involved, and then sort of moved down to Brighton, where I trained under my current teacher, Master Glenn Stevens, got my 2 black belts, and he really was leagues ahead of anyone else at that time, where he was focusing on child safety, child development, real life problems. There you go, is that better? Yeah. Real life problems, just helping people to become a better version of them and avoid becoming victims. And that was the real beginning of my real martial arts career. I was teaching 30, maybe 40 classes a week with him, training 7 days a week, 5-6 hours a day with him. And then he moved away and I moved back to London. And that's where I got sort of reacquainted with Dan Moverheady.
Yep, another good referee I know, yeah.
World famous, world-class referee. He's obviously doing bits with UFC and stuff now. And that's what sort of got me into the officiating with the shows. 10 years on, here I am, obviously working a lot of shows and a lot of cool guys like yourselves. And, in that time frame, my teacher got with an organisation called Cobra Self-Defense Systems, which are, their headquarters was in, I think it still is, Clearwater, Florida, over in the States. And that's where we really started to home in on giving training and guidance and self-defense training, realistic self-defense training, which I'll explain more in a minute, to families on how to stay safe in everyday situations and problems. So rather than teaching, your kickboxing, grappling, submission grappling, whether we're teaching Muay Thai, odd streetwise self-defense, we started to get guidance from this organisation, which was all ex-law enforcement officers. So the information we're now given was very specific and invaluable, meaning that it was from people that have actually dealt with these sort of criminals for 20, 30 years. They had first-hand experience on what they do, the angles they use to try and manipulate people, what will or won't work, how they targeted their victims. So it became a lot more serious about real life situations. And that's where the game changed, really, because as much as I knew, I'd been teaching for years, they really upskilled us and made us more skilled and more sort of focused on this is what actually happens and this is the training that will actually help people in these situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
So that journey begun then, become really passionate. We do certain programs that are taught all over the world. My teacher, Glenn Stevens, as I mentioned, he's classed as a specialist out in Australia, where his main focus is women and children's safety. So we give a lot of training on what most people know as stranger danger, but we focus on things like behavioural awareness, behaviour danger, which we'll get into more content in a bit, because a lot of incidents that happen with children, even adults, is normally someone they know, whether it be a colleague, a friend, it might be a teacher or a coach, a relative, whatever it may be. So teaching stranger danger become kind of outdated, because 9 times out of 10 it's not strangers that actually hurt you. In most cases, it's strangers that would actually help you.
Yeah, because I was about to say, statistically, the abuser is usually someone that the child knows, right?
Yes, and we'll cover this with a few case studies and stories in a bit, but most of the time it's that connection, because that's how they create that opportunity. If that makes sense. So when you look at it that way, when we're teaching children things like, and this is where it really changes and evolved us, because we've been teaching martial arts in these programs for 10, 15 years full time. And it was a complete game changer when we started giving all this new content, new skills, new understanding that we could pass on to children, to actually give them proper guidance and give them proper skill sets to acknowledge how the problem really works, but in a child-friendly way.
Sure.
That's our superpower as such. We take a really difficult topic and we then make it really child-friendly, engaging, but equip them with the right skills to be able to recognise good or bad behaviour and stuff like that. So, with Cobra, we went on and on for years. We've got different programs like CAP, Child Abduction Prevention, to all over the world. It's actually helped save a couple of children in Australia. They ended up on news reports because of it, from real life incident where a child was abducted or attempted abduction. It's taught in the States all the time, a big thing over there, and it started to really get me to focus on things like groomers, sexual predators, online threats for children, and I started to focus on that area.
Is that when you saw there was a problem?
I always knew there's a problem.
Yeah.
When I got to, which we'll talk about again, which is like you say, predator hunters, to upskill myself. I'm sure everyone's seen online, like you see stings taking place. If you haven't seen them, you should check them out. You'd be surprised how many people have not seen them, because I do adult school talks to parents away from the children. And when I say to the parents, has anyone seen online stings? I've been in a room story of about 30 parents, only 2 put their hand up. So 28 parents are actually unaware at this point that these things happen.
Might be something to do with the algorithm. I'm not sure that would be something the algorithm might push to people to see.
Could be. And if you're looking up that content, then you're going to see more of it and so on.
I doubt my mum, who's 72, has lived the life of Ryan, is probably she's more concerned about geraniums and sunflowers in the garden.
Just get bombarded with that.
Yeah. So.
But we got involved with them just to understand, and to be honest, even now, because I know I was coming on your show today, I was on the phone for 2 hours to the Cobra team. So I coincidentally just explained I'm with a team. I assist a team as part of their security team. So when they go out on stings, they're called Cobra UK Hunters. They've got a big following.
Cobra UK Hunters, guys, check them out.
Check them out. They've done a sting.
Get their website up right now.
Yeah, put it up. They've done a sting a few days ago, and the way it works is, I got involved with these teams to make a real difference, frontline difference. Go down, support them, get these guys off the street.
Physically.
Yeah, that's it. It felt like a good thing to do, and also to upskill myself. So I wanted to understand this problem more, because if I understand it more, I can develop programs and information that will be more effective for children, adults, school teachers, wherever it may be, to try and tackle this problem. Now, when you say how bad was it, I thought I knew a lot about this problem until I got with Cobra, and they've been really good. You have to earn your place there and show them that you're there for the right reasons, a lot, just like anywhere. But they've really, because they understand my background and what I'm trying to achieve in schools and that with children, they've really took me on board under the wing, and
they could see that you were a serious person with good intent.
That's it. And also we all cover different angles. They've got the online angle, and they've got another thing called the den, which we talk about, which is a real safeguarding thing behind the scenes. But then I've got the angle where I'm getting into schools and I'm talking to parents. I'm dealing with hundreds, possibly thousands of children a year.
It's priceless, mate.
Lee,
priceless.
Lee, is this the right logo for Cobra UK?
That's the correct one. Yes.
I've actually found them on a website called Nonce TV.
Nonce TV,
which obviously dedicates itself to documenting these stings, and we've got a graph here, number of live stings.
Blow it up, Lance. Get it full screen.
By month. Wow, they're even producing like KPIs, key performance indicators.
Just get rid of that.
So yeah, look at So we're seeing how many stings per month.
It's been shut. I've not even seen this.
Well, I think this has been compiled by a third party, to be fairly.
Okay.
Team relationships. Okay. All right. This is the other groups that they've been working with on the stings. This is all their Facebook here. Well, this is actually. Yeah, this is the third party called Nonce TV that's basically got Cobra UK
showcasing Cobra UK as well.
Showcasing them here. Very interesting.
Now, there's a lot of teams out there, and what I've learned as well is a lot of the serious teams, they kind of network a little bit. Some work with others. So the way it works is you have decoys online, and then when they get that engagement and there's something concerning, sometimes they allocate it out to different sting teams and different teams to deal with it if they think they're more either local or more equipped to deal with that type of person, predator. So I know a lot of them do liaise back and forth, and they sort of work with each other.
Can I just ask a quick question about what you just said there? Lee, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about law, but would somebody posing as a child online who wasn't the police, who had been kind of granted permission to do that act, would that not count as entrapment in a court of law? Would that be right?
Over the years, teams have had to evolve, and a lot of the teams that haven't evolved with the laws, legislation and stuff, and the hiccups that they come across, should we put it, probably ain't operating now. The thing that I love about Cobra is a lot of them have got a specific background, so they understand it well.
Right.
But the way they deal with it, they understand the laws, legislation, they understand what to do, what not to do. A child's profile online is pretty much a fake profile put up there, and it just sits dormant. So they're not allowed to. There's certain things that they're not allowed to do. They can't make the first contact.
Right.
They can't entice or take on that way. It's happened in the past, and cases have been lost over it. So again, the teams evolve and go, right, we've got to make sure we don't do.
So
these
if
things.
somebody contacts that child's profile, which is dormant there, then it's all good to go.
Yeah, because this is kind of the point that I was going to bring up, and please don't think I'm detracting here, Lee. I'm just playing devil's advocate. That when I've observed the videos of the stings on Facebook, I always go to the comments section straight away, and a lot of the detractors are basically saying, they're using words like entrapment, and they're saying this is all well and good, but there never was a kid. This person never was going to meet a kid. And for me, this is very problematic, because even if I saw there was an issue with the way it was being conducted, don't think I'd ever be the person that stands up above the parapet and tries to say anything against people combating paedophiles, or bad guys, as we should say.
Yeah.
So I guess
talk about putting a fucking target on your head.
Yeah. Well, it's just not a good look when someone has actually got some dirty nonce in front of them, and they're holding them for the police to come, and you're trying to have a go at the person holding there is something a bit iffy about that. But so I guess my question is, mate, what is the difference between the Muppets that are maybe not following the rules and those, I'm still all right, that are actually doing this and producing arrests out of it at the end?
I think it's just down to probably experience, just understanding how they deal with other authorities around them. Whether if you're giving guidelines for police, if you're serious about what you're doing, you want to make a difference, and you do a sting, for instance, and you do something wrong, and you lose that case. There's been plenty that have happened that way. Like these guys have walked away on a technicality, and we look at that and go, look, what's our aim? Our aim, we want to get them out of circulation off the street ASAP. So children are safe, they're not targeting other children. We'll talk about this more as well as we go. So it's in our best interest, to do everything by the book, because we don't want to go down. It's not for likes or views, Even me, all the things I've been on ain't loads compared to what these guys do. But I've probably been on, 10, 15, 20 maybe that I've been there personally. Yeah. And you wouldn't even know I was there. We're not there for the limelight. We just want to get them put away.
You said something really interesting there, right? And I was going to mention this a moment ago. You said we're not doing this for likes or views, which is obviously the right answer. There's already people in the comment section saying, have you got any links for Lee? Where's his website? And I'm thinking, there aren't any links. This isn't something that you're doing really publicly. It's something that you're doing on the front line. So it's not like there's a website for you doing this or photos of it. This is something that you're really doing on the streets, and it's not necessarily being advertised, right?
Yes, so if we explain, like, you've got to look at it this way, and you want to know about decoys not being a real child. I spent, like, this Cobra team that I'm with now, and it's just coincidence, I'm with Cobra Self-Defense International, and I happen to link with a team called Cobra UK Hunters, but totally separate things.
I did wonder, because you turned up in the Cobra...
That's my child self-defense stuff, yeah.
Right,
I also just done my close protection training with Cobra, UK close protection. It just seems to be a bit of a
hashtag
coincidence.
Cobra life, mate.
It seems to be chasing me, that name, but... So look, if you look at it this way, and I spent 2 hours on the phone to Cobra last night, 2 of the members that were just giving me loads of information, and also we had to discuss things that they would rather not be mentioned because it could jeopardise decoys and stuff as we talk about. We don't want to give away sites that we're monitoring closely, because so we've got to be careful what we say online, because online we can't control what viewers are watching. There could be, as we put it, bad guys watching this for information type skill.
Sure.
We've already been notified that there's a lot of those bad guys that watch the Cobra official page because they try and keep tabs on where Cobra's doing stings and stuff like that. So there's things we won't talk about, but what we will talk about is that, look, you've got 2 areas of it. You've got what we call the decoys, which is what the public see online, where there's not a real child involved. And we're going to talk about, which is really going to raise some eyebrows, something called the Den. Cobra's the only organisation to have a real-life sort of team behind the scenes working real cases daily. And they're dealing with cases daily. The stats I got given yesterday is the most amount of cases I've dealt with in 1 week up to date is 250.
Fucking hell.
250 real cases.
Let me ask, is Cobra working across the UK? How many sites have they got? How widespread is this?
Well, I learned a lot last night. I had some shocking information. I had to take a few deep breaths. I was like, wow, I can't believe what I'm hearing. So, because I'm on the Sting team, so what happens is, I've got a lot of self-defense security background. So when I got in touch with them, I said, look, I want to support you guys, keep you safe. So we're in a WhatsApp group. So what most of us see in that group is we get all sides come and go, right, guys, who's available Friday? Yeah. What I normally ask is what area, because the other work I do, I might be in one end of the country reffing, and they want me the other end of the country at 10 in the morning, so it's a bit, we find out. But that's basically the first point of contact we get told. So
just on that note, how many others like you are there, Lee, that are going out on the front line like that?
I haven't asked these specifically, but when I spoke to, I can't remember if it's this team quite a while ago, maybe a year or so ago, and I mentioned to someone about it, and they reckon there was, on average, 140 to 150 teams at that point across the UK.
Oh no, I meant in this WhatsApp group.
Oh, WhatsApp group.
If you couldn't attend something, and because you had a prior engagement or whatever, how many of you is there to? Sort of pick up that slack maybe, and
sometimes they're always taking on other people that are trusted security wise. Who's always looking to sort of up the numbers of the team. But I think right now there might be like 15, 20 of us.
Okay, it's a fair few, yeah.
So we get a team of 8 or 9 there backing them with security. That's a good day.
Right.
There's been times where they've had to turn up on their own. No, I've been there as the only security. So
yeah.
You'd rather have a bit of backup.
Would I be right in saying, because from the stings that I've seen on like the Facebook posts and stuff like that, from when you see paedophiles get caught in an alleyway when they're waiting to meet a girl or some shit like that, they all look a bit fucking scrawny and looks like, I mean, you look like you could take care of yourself. And obviously with your martial art background, like, it doesn't look like these guys would be particularly
that's sort of where I was going.
Trouble.
Some of the ones I've seen, they weren't very professional.
No.
And they
don't look like they've ever took a punch in their life.
Some of them look like they just rolled out the pub. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you today, Lee, because obviously you're bringing a much more professional and direct approach, and you're not just there to be the muscle, you're really there to make sure that things are done correctly and everyone's safe, right?
Yeah, well, they know the legislation, Mike. As I know the ins and outs legislation, they know that more because they deal with it. They know like what paperwork to prepare for the police to make the process easier, how to shortcut it, what to do, what not to do, things to stay online, what not to stay online, anything that could jeopardise the future of it. We get updates, obviously, so long ago, which we talk about a case recent, when we normally get notified of when they've been sentenced, if they've been remanded, if they've been bailed. So they have good relationship with certain authorities and get that information. The main thing with this is no one gets paid. It's voluntary.
Sure.
So, makes you really go hats off to the people that are doing it as well, because these guys, when I tell you when he said, like, what did they do? They cover the UK. We go back to that. I found out last night that they're actually liaising with teams in America and Canada. And in the Den, where it's real children, they have got 24-hour around-the-clock surveillance on numerous sites. So when they go asleep in the UK, Canada and America take over, and vice versa, because it's different time frames. Does that make sense?
And they're volunteers as well.
No one get. Well, I don't know about the States, what setups they got there, but I know, as far as I know, here in the UK, it's all voluntary, and if anyone tries, because there's a big hoo-ha back in the like years ago where they're doing it for money, and so there's a bit of a frown upon any team that tried to get any kind of financial support or this and the other. So, and as everyone said, they're not doing it for likes or this or trying to make a fortune out of it. They want people to really recognise them, but they're doing it for the right reasons.
What about Lee, things like equipment, like radios and stuff like that?
Is there any funding coming from anywhere?
Or is it, there's no equipment. There's nothing.
No, they're chipped together, and get some funds together to make maybe some tops with Cobra child protection on them or something like that, or hoodies. There might be something to go out. But this is what I said to them, because obviously
what is this from, like mums selling cakes at school fetes?
It'd be from them chipping together themselves.
Right,
to the
with their own dollar.
Yeah.
And have you ever approached? Not to. I'm not on about you guys taking away, doing this for money. I'm on about, have you ever approached a council or a governmental authority to get some equipment, get some t-shirts, get some radios, get
just some backing,
some computers, and a roof over your head as an HQ, something like that. Have you ever reached out for that?
I'm not really in that position to take care of that's their side, but from what I've heard, no. But I've personally offered, because I do a lot of work with child safety courses that tackle these sort of problems, parent talks, school talks. And obviously I do it as a profession. I've done it for 25 years, so that's how I earn my living.
Yeah.
And I've said to them, look, let me go down and offer some courses and donate the money to them and this, that. And even that, because they sort of go, we don't want to look like we're doing it for any kind of money. They're really serious about just making sure.
That's very admirable. Can I take a wild guess that a lot of the guys doing this are ex-services,
They've all got some sort of background where it's relevant, if that makes sense. And as I found out yesterday, everyone that works in the den, they make sure that at least level 3 safeguard. The one that run it is level 5 safeguard, so they make sure everyone's.
What does that mean, Lee? If for people that don't know, including me,
because like safeguarding, and this is what I love about this team as well. Their main focus is safeguarding people, whether it be from the families involved to the victims, to even their own staff. So, for instance, decoys on there might be working around the clock for 6 weeks with a bad guy, as we put it. Okay, getting bombarded with indecent images, videos, this, and it could take a toll on them. So they give them time out. They won't put them straight on a case. They really focus on trying to make sure mentally this person's looked after. Children, we've done stings where we're ready to sting the person. We've got a picture. We're waiting for him, and we see him walking down the road with a 4-year-old child or 7-year-old child. And our first priority is we're not going to do this while the child's there. We want to safeguard the child. So we choose a better opportunity just to win it out the way.
It's hard when you can see them with a fucking child.
I just want to say something, right? The viewers of this show and people that watch this kind of content by nature are usually very anti-establishment, anti-police, anti-armed forces and all that. And that's all well and good, but don't forget what Lee just said. The guys that are giving up their time free of charge to do this, to protect people, are predominantly from those industries. So we can always have a go at the order followers and stuff like that. But it's very important.
I'll raise my hand to that.
That's why I said it. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
It's an important point because we're all anti-establishment here, and I always try to be a little bit more careful about how I come with that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, it is your ex-police, your firefighters, and your ex-servicemen who are stepping up to these positions. So we've got to remember that, guys, and I think that's a very important, salient point.
I think a very valid thing to what you're saying there is you've got to understand when you're working within a profession, within certain organisations, your hands are going to be tied by certain procedures and protocols. Doesn't mean they always agree with it, but unfortunately that's where they've got to do their job. And that's another really valuable thing with Sting teams. If we've had these conversations, I've seen them where, I will say this straight away, depending on what team and how they deal with their sort of approach on the Sting and the preparation, what they do, does change on how the authorities sort of respond to them. So I've worked with a few different teams, and I know the more professional, the better response they get. But the same factor is I've seen police officers even say, well, why didn't you hand it to us? And the difference is we hand it to them, they've got to go through a whole process of red tape before they can actually take action. Now, when we turn up, we eliminate that problem immediately. We're going to get them picked up off the street right there and then. They're no longer a problem. And all the paperwork and all the evidence logs that we hand it over on the Sting to the police.
So neat little package.
When they turn up, whoever's heading that Sting will go aside with the authorities, police, and they will be going, well, we're keeping the bad guy there and on the live still, and they will be going through the chat logs with extracts and evidence and date logs and statement witnesses from decoys and this and that. So we give them a whole folder, and obviously the worse the case is, the bigger the folder is of evidence.
Are you greeted differently when you're doing these stings by different police jurisdictions in different areas of the UK.
I bet you get a mixed response, don't you?
Yes, depending on area and depending. Now, the great thing with this Cobra team is they've built a really good relationship with authorities. And
So would you say that's across the board? The whole of the UK police force know about Cobra UK and they're down with it. They're good with it.
I would say they probably one of the most recognised ones that I know.
Right.
As far as I know, if I put that wrong, I apologise. But I think because the way they conduct themselves, how professional they are, they follow all the guidelines. They're doing everything the way they want to see it done.
The right way, yeah.
And when they hand a case over, a lot of it's done the way they want it to be done, the paperwork and stuff.
Because what I mean, without going too into that, because obviously we're probably going to get to that a little later on, like councils and authorities in such as Telford, where everyone knows with what's been going on with the grooming gangs and stuff like that, I would maybe suggest that those authorities might be a little bit more reluctant to work with somebody like you guys.
Yeah, because they're probably in cahoots.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's what I was sort of leaning on to.
I suppose the way Sting's done, which I really like, is you've got police officers turn up, so no matter what the politics are or whatever, when you're given a pack of such overwhelming evidence, videos, messages, all these indecent interactions from the adult to the child, I don't think there's really any way they can turn a blind eye to that then, if that makes sense.
Right.
So the police officers themselves have to pick them up, take them off, obviously book them in,
I suppose at that point it is kind of out of your guys' hands anyway, whether once you've actually done the physical duty of apprehending the bad guy and handing over your pack to the authorities.
What it will come down to is how the case has been handled. If it's been done the right way professionally, there's been nothing to jeopardise it, and how we conduct ourselves and what we do.
Yeah.
And then the amount of evidence. Now, the thing with our team, I'm sure it works the same with most other teams, the team with Cobra is they will make sure they know they've got definitely enough evidence and stuff like that before we get moved in as a team. So they get all that evidence together. So they really, we took care of it already. There's too much. And they know there's certain levels that once they commit certain crimes and
they can't ignore it.
That's it. It's got to go through at that point. So it's just down to then how the courts see it and whether they get sentenced.
Sure. Which again is completely out of your guys' control.
Yeah, exactly.
No, obviously it's really quite a strange situation. Obviously not in the situation that in the world that we're in at the moment it's normal, but in a normal world it's strange that private citizens have to basically do the job of the police. When you're there, Lee,
fucking madness.
It's madness, isn't it?
That's a mad fucking
I
statement.
almost tripped up on what I was saying there because I was trying to process how mad it is, right? But when you're there, Lee, and a bad guy is getting handed over to the authorities with a folder of evidence, do you ever sort of like look at do the police ever sort of like? Do you ever get a sense that in a way they're a little bit embarrassed that they haven't, that they're not they've got their hands tied, they haven't got the resources to do this?
No, the more and more I've seen lately, they seem quite appreciative. They're very professional with us.
Okay.
We sit there and have a chit chat with them while their other officers are going for information. So it's been a good response, especially with Cobra since I've been with them. We get great responses. I would say embarrassed because you've got to understand, like a lot of the problems and where the hands are tied don't come from the frontline officers.
No. Of
course, they're the ones that get the stick. If that makes sense, they're in the job for all the right reasons and probably frustrating themselves that certain things are done certain ways. You know? So what we do, so I think sometimes they might even be quite appreciative of it because we've just handed over a bad guy with overwhelming evidence, like not just hearsay. We've got overwhelming evidence with a pack. With all visuals and a whole complete chat log of what they've said from day one, and all the extracts on the front. So they ain't got to rummage through it might be 600 pages.
You've done all the legwork.
Yeah, all the legwork, and we've highlighted where the main factors are that are going to get this guy arrested. Like, these are the main 5 factors.
Do you have, Lee? Do you have sort of lawyers and stuff who advise you on the stuff like for you? Okay, if you move in now, we've got this, and that. That'll absolutely like hold up in a court of law. There's no way that there's any dispute. Like legally,
I think I haven't asked that question. As far as I know, no. But I know a lot of the people involved with the team have got different backgrounds, so they've probably either got experience or they've asked for information and guidance, and they've got that kind of guidance on what to do, And I think again over the years, from making mistakes, they probably make the right adjustments and get things right. It's just like anything. You start anything new. You start to
learning curve.
And you should be getting better as time goes on, evolving. So.
We've actually got someone saying, "How can I get involved in Cobra UK?" Ashley Styles.
Okay, we've got the page there. They're online. You can find them on Facebook and so on. I suppose the best way is either contact them or I'm sure if people want links to what I do and stuff at the end of this contact me if they're in it for the right reasons, they've got the right sort of characteristics and background, then I'm sure Cobra may be interested in having a chat with them. They're always looking for, I think they even advertised on their page not too long ago, looking for more security, because we can't always be available. And also looking for, I think a while ago I see them putting that out even on their page on Facebook about looking for decoys even. People that can be trained and sort of help with running their profiles and stuff online.
I guess you could do that kind of thing from home.
Yes,
like something like that.
Home,
Yeah,
yes.
you wouldn't be. I'm going to ask you a question, Lee, which I'm sure all of our viewers, anyone watching this, is going to want me to bring this up. What do you think of Tommy Robinson and the work of Tommy Robinson?
Oh God, right, okay. Personally, I've got to think how to say this now.
No, you can say anything you like, mate.
Hey, listen, look, personally, I think he's been very unlucky, and he's gone through a lot of unfair, prejudice and sort of remarks and everything being labelled as things that he's not. He was way ahead of his time.
Okay, yeah.
Highlighting problems and stuff that people just didn't really want to recognise. And I think the more as time goes on, not just everyday people, but politicians as well and stuff are starting to sort of say, hold on, he's right.
He might have been
what we found out with Tommy Robinson is just how nasty the machine behind the scenes can be.
Yes.
If they've got it in for you. And
they'll
so
take
on.
you down.
Exactly. And I'm sure he's not the only one, as we know.
I mean, I would argue he hasn't done himself any favours sometimes the way he's gone about stuff. With his previous lot, he's been done for mortgage fraud and he got caught with half a gram of Charlie in his pocket once.
Casually using the P word.
Yeah, like football hooliganism. He hasn't done himself any favours, I would say.
This is what we always said.
I still don't. If Tommy Robinson's legit, and I'll ask Lee in a minute if I think he's a Mossad Israeli shill or not. But if he is legit, then I will say he's had some very bad luck with his work, because he has brought something to the table which no one else did at the time.
Look, the way I put it, because obviously I case study a lot of stuff, okay, because again, it just empowers me more as a teacher and what I can learn, and more I understand the problem, the more I can try and get the right information across to help. And what I do know is that he's highlighting problems, he's got all sorts of criticism and been attacked for it, and years on we're now discussing those problems as real topics.
What do you think your colleagues at Cobra and the guys you work with think of him? He must be brought up occasionally.
Do you know what? One thing with them is we never talk politics. We don't talk any of that stuff. We keep it to what we're doing. Because the minute you do, everyone's entitled to their own opinions.
Sure.
This is where there's a problem.
Sure.
If you've got your own opinion, someone doesn't agree with it, they want to attack you for
You're
it.
jumping ahead with that question, Andy PG.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He's too eager. He can help
I
it.
know. We've
got
got to get to the hot potato. But anyway, right, Lee, I think it would probably be quite beneficial if you actually talked us through. You can give a live example, or you can give us a generic example of how one of these stings with a decoy actually works from start to finish, because many people probably don't really know the mechanics of this.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We discussed this last night. I made sure I got clear guidance on behind the scenes from them last night, exactly what the process is. I got educated quite a bit last night. I learned that's what I love doing this as well. I learn off them all the time. They're making me better at what I do. What I'd love to explain now is the two areas of how this operation works.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
So we've got stings, which everyone sees online, and they will never ever. When people say it's not a real child, you're right, because as I said, the most numbers they had was dealing with 250 children in 1 week, real children, not stings, real children,
mental.
and that's with something they call the den. Now, the den you'll never really hear about publicly. I asked them last night if there's okay me talking about it. They said yes. I was asked not to say certain things because they don't want to jeopardise the operation.
Yeah.
But the den basically is dealing with real cases, monitoring real sites, real bad guys, real case. And I've got two examples of cases I'm going to tell you about, which I told you earlier. You can go online and check out the news report about this guy being charged and give you the name and so on. So it's factual.
We'll get the news.
Yeah.
The news article.
So basically, right, let's tell you two things now. Damn right, it's not a real child as a decoy, because if it was, you wouldn't see it, because we've got to safeguard that child. We are never ever going to put a real child all over the internet. Yeah, we've got to safeguard that child and family, because now there's a real child and a real family involved. So if we put their details on there as a sting, well, guess what? They're going to get all sorts of problems moving forward. So
we don't want magnet for every weirdo that watches those videos. Yeah.
Exactly, and we just don't want to do that. We're not there to try and make people's lives harder. We're there to try and tackle a problem so that real people down the line don't have to deal with this as much. Hopefully, we can make that much of a dent in the problem, if that makes sense. So, right, let's talk about decoys. So we've got decoys on different sites. Most of the sites are sites where it's frowned upon, or they know these sort of activities, or people sort of lurk, which we won't mention. Now, when I say I won't mention, it's only because we're on a live and anyone can access that information. When I get booked for school, for instance, I'm working for school in a couple of weeks, I do 5 hours training with the kids, but then we also do a school talk with the parents away from the children, and we make sure they're aware of all the sites to make sure your children never go near. Yeah.
Right.
So we list them out. We send out packs to them. We send packs to schools sometimes to pass on to them about internet safety. And so when it's not online, where we can control our crowd who's getting that information, we give that out. Okay, it's not that we keep it secret, but it's just because the nature of we're on a live and absolutely anyone could listen to this, and we don't empower bad guys with where not to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So basically, with a decoy, we've got our volunteers. They're online. We've got decoy people monitoring those profiles 24 hours. And it stays there dormant, okay? It might have a child's picture on there with details blatantly showing it's a child of 12, 13, 14, whatever it may be. I think the youngest I've dealt with on a sting is about 11-year-old. But I've got horrific details to tell you about a real case with a 6-year-old, which we're covering a bit, okay? And this is a real case. But
again, guys, just a little trigger warning. You might not want to hear some of the gorier details that what Lee's got to
and
say.
I'll let you know, Lee, people in the comment section are going mad, saying we need more men like this. This guy and his outfit are doing God's work. This is awesome. So we're getting some great feedback in the comments, mate.
No, thank you. And what I would say is, as I said to him last night, and I messaged him today saying thank you for the time, I love these guys that I work with Cobra because I see their dedication, what they do, and the more I learn about what they're doing behind the scenes, honestly, you want to know about unsung heroes and who dedicate every second of their day and time and breathing and living to protecting people's children around, not just in this country, around the world.
These guys
and
are
don't
on
get a penny for it. It takes up all their time, and they don't blink an eyelid at it. It's what they're there to do. It's their purpose in life. So, thank you for the praise, but honestly, look out for Cobra UK Hunters, and these guys are really the heroes behind the scenes.
Just goes to show you should always hold a door open for someone because you never know what they're doing behind the scenes.
Yes, like I've upset a few drivers before.
Of course.
I'm trying to get in place for the team. Captain the bad guy. So sorry, but I've probably been called a few names, cutting up traffic, getting to my team quick. But as you see, my car's all logoed up, so I know we get a good response. So it's cool. But so with a decoy, they're online, adults in there, when you say about entrapment, something they learn over time is the profile can't approach a person. So the first point of contact will be an adult either messaging that profile or adding them as a friend. Okay.
Right.
So you might have a 48-year-old, 48-year-old person. It might be a 65-year-old person. The youngest I've dealt with was about a 24-year-old up to date. Okay. And all different ethnicities, all different backgrounds, all different professions. Yeah, honestly, it's shocking some of the people we come across. And they've made the first point of contact. Whatever that message may be, it might be a bit innocent, it might be a bit more forward. We've dealt with some cases where after about 3 or 4 interaction messages, they're just running with indecent messages and stuff like that. It really does vary. So at that point now, basically the team are now monitoring it. We've got a decoy who's actively live on that profile. Now, as I learned last night as well, decoys are not allowed to stop the conversation. So say a conversation with a predator before we pick him up has gone for 6 weeks. Okay, that decoy has to be on tap whenever that predator wants for 6 weeks. And 1, to keep the conversation going, and 2, as I learned last night, because if that decoy goes, I need a day out or 2 because I can't handle this, it's getting too much or whatever, or I'm busy, I've just got normal personal life stuff to do. Do you think that guy's going to sit and wait till that decoy's ready again? No. Where do you think they're going?
They're going to find another one.
Yeah, so they're really serious
that could be a real child.
Yeah, well, just from not being able to get any response there, they're looking at other profiles and now,
Right.
So, and this is where you'll hear as well on some of our stings, and I've heard it on other stings. We've got a guy, and because all the teams sort of liaise and they're sort of networking, we get other teams start messaging on our live. Oh, we've got them on 2 kids, 2 decoys. Oh, this team's got them on 2 decoys.
It's the same person.
Same guy.
Right,
so we go, hold on, we thought we had him once. We now got you on 7 different decoys. So and lucky they're decoys. Now, how many real children is he messaging in amongst that?
At the same time.
Exactly.
At the same time.
So this is why it's important for decoys. What decoys are, they are the stopping point from that person bridging to actually going to a real child. And we have to keep them occupied. Yeah, does that make sense? Constantly. If you don't and you're not on tap, so the pressure's on the decoys,
so anyone in the chat who wants to get involved and they think, oh, I'll be a decoy from home, it's not an easy job there. You've heard it straight from Lee though.
And they're really passionate about their job for the right reasons. So the last thing they'd want to do is not be on the ball with it and let them go on to a real child.
Lee, even if this was like somebody in a completely different fucking time zone, you'd be expected to be up when they're up.
Well, no, I learned this last night. I was completely unaware of this. I knew Cobra team had dealt with a couple of international cases and helped out with a couple of cases in the States and other countries. Because don't forget, when you're on this site, people from all around the world are on the site. You can't choose. Right? So you come across a case, and we talk about one in a bit, which is horrific. I learned last night. I didn't even know about this case till last night myself when I was getting told the information. And when you come across a case, if they've had a case in Russia, I'll give you the details about that in a minute. Like, so they're now round the clock, and they've got 3 different threat levels. Yeah, where it's engagement with a child, potential exploitation, and exploitation has happened. Meaning, so depending on that threat level, will be depending on how much they alert team members and how.
When you say exploitation has happened, that means they've physically done something
online.
Online, right? Online,
so the first stage is the suspicion. The next stage is maybe to convince a child to do things like pull their top up or show certain parts.
Send them a picture.
And the next one is they've actually got them to remove clothing and got them to take out follow acts and this and the other online, which we'll talk about. So different levels are, if they go for second or third level, they're calling people all over the world and this and the other, like saying, right, we've got to monitor this. And they will stay up 24 hours a day if they need to monitor that child until they get that child. Because don't forget, these are real children now. This isn't a decoy. So they will stay up. They've got trackers on it. They're trying to find out where any background we can on them. We're trying to alert authorities, find out what school that child goes to. We're trying to home policing on the location, especially with one of the cases I'm going to tell you about real time. Because there's a crime happening in front of us on one of these shady sites being viewed. So, with them, that's the den more because it's real children. So with a decoy though, when that interaction's happened, once enough charges have been built up, and we know that we're good to go in, that's when they decide to hand it over to Jay. Anyone that watches Cobra UK Hunters know Jay. He's the main man. We're doing it. Jay and Steve. We've got Shelley, Ricardo.
How much is enough?
It depends what offences they're committing.
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
So it depends what chit chat and that. As soon as they talk inappropriate and start to go down certain roads with a child underage, then they're already committing a crime anyway. But
so is that enough to then move in on something, or would you then try and wait till there was more?
We'd probably try and wait till more, and this is what I say with the decoys as well. They're not allowed to approach, but also have to maintain innocence, just like a child the whole time. If the person's making accusations, or not accusations, sorry, sort of suggesting things or saying, "Oh, I'd like to do this with you, I'd like to do that with you," the child won't play the game. Like that's where you go down the routes of entrapment, and you'll lose the case.
Right.
So the child's will be able to play. Go, what would you like to do? And no, the child will play completely innocent, keep talking on what it should be at that age range.
Yeah.
And
that must be quite hard to try and put yourself into the mind of a child and what they would say to that.
It is, and other
if
ways,
you're not,
yeah, and it's also a situation you'd hopefully never been in as a child yourself.
Yeah.
So it's actually like you're putting yourself in a hypothetical situation as a child.
Yeah.
That's no easy task. Yeah. No easy task at all.
No.
But also with like I explained to me last night, so that's a really good way of looking at it. I never looked at it that way. They went, if you look at it like a movie star, they play different characters. So the way they've got to look at it is they're acting, they're playing a role. Does that make sense? So that's the way for them to do it. Right, my role today is I'm a 13-year-old child with this background or whatever. So that it's like playing a character. Does that make sense?
I haven't got any kids. It would be really difficult for me to try and act like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really difficult for me.
And like I said, decoys, they get certain training. Like they don't just give someone a go, there you go. Off you
yeah,
go,
sure.
They go through training with the team. They prep them. They monitor them. They help them. It's a really big kind of thing that they do. They're quite full on with it and serious about how they do that.
It's almost like the online front line, isn't it? That if you're a decoy, you're like the first port of call for a bad guy. To come to,
completely. And when you say, like, I just want to cover this as well, and I'll give you this analogy on it. I've taught for a long time, and I've got a good way of making people understand certain things different ways. That's why with children we cover serious topics that we know as adults. We talk to the adults, what we're talking about: sexual predators, groomers, kidnappers, abductors. But we give kids the skills in the courses that we teach. And cover all these sort of trigger warnings with the kids. A bit like a fire drill, we're not showing kids pictures of burnt victims who have died, but we need to take them through, if you hear the fire alarm, these are the protocols in a child-friendly way. And it's the same way that we sort of approach this problem. We teach them about appropriate and inappropriate behaviour, and then how to react to one, how to react to the other. And we got to a certain line, and then we hand it over to the parents to say, look, you fill in the gaps where you feel it's appropriate for your child. What we've done is installed a safety system for the child, if that makes sense, so how to react. But going back to the decoys, with that, they have to act out a child, they have to keep their innocence, they can't go with it. So in a lot of chat logs, you'll hear them say, like, the child told you 14, they were 14 or 12, they mentioned it several times, and you might get a bad guy turn and say, well, what happened? This child added me. We know it's a lie, but we've got the whole thing printed out in front of us, and that's not how a decoy works, because if it did, we'd lose the case, probably, entrapment. So they already know, but most bad guys, when we turn up, they don't know who we are and what we know up to that point, so they play their luck. Oh, yeah, I spoke to a person, it's just as friends. They're trying to sort of cater for what they've done, and it ain't until they see the folder come out and we're literally quoting
And then they're like, oh, fuck.
I had no idea who they were dealing with.
The receipts. You got the full receipts.
Yeah, you dropped the whole portfolio on them right there on the street. That must be something to behold.
Yeah, and it's at that point when you're quoting things like that, I think they really realise. So don't get me wrong, some of them really act arrogant.
I bet their fucking face dropped.
Yes.
I bet it, like...
We see people shaking.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Shock kicks in. That's
especially
when,
if there's like one of them, and I mean like two or three larger sized fellas going around them. Yeah.
Well, with our team, for instance, we normally have
with the camera in their face and shit.
Three or four of them that have actually done the interview with the camera, and you hear me pass on team members. And if we're lucky on a good day, we might have 4 or 5 of us behind the scenes, like sort of supporting them. And I'll tell you, well, I'll get to this bit in a minute. So with the decoys, then once we've got enough evidence, okay, they then go, right, we're going to enable the hunters, which is us, the Sting team. So they then notify the hunters. Jay are then put in the group to us. This is at the point where the message kicks in, guys, who's available Friday. Where is it? So we're at this point now. While that's happening, we've got trackers online.
How often does this come up?
Oh, they've done 3 in a day.
Fuck.
They've been out for 15 hours before. I know they have personally for 15 hours traveling the country, covering 3 of them. And also it depends how horrific it is. If it's a really horrific bad guy and the things they're doing is just through the roof, like extreme, then we want to get them.
How often is that, Lee?
I'd say at least every few. I come across that.
When you say few.
Well, Joe, just say for instance, like we might go, we'll be out on a Saturday. The team might be out on a Tuesday, getting someone. They might be back out that weekend.
For doing really bad shit.
Yeah, well, most of them have stepped over the mark enough anyway for us to be there. And then some others would be like, when I say to them, like, when I talk to a Sting, I don't normally know many details. I know where to be, where to meet the team.
Right.
And as soon as I get there, I always go to the same mentality. Expect it to be someone that's for themselves. Expect it to be someone that's going to be a handful. So you're prepared. I get there and say, right, what they like. And they say, right, this one's terrible. They've been constantly hounding the child.
But they won't give you much more detail.
I'm probably quite lucky. They will, like, as security, I always ask for a picture when I get on site. Because I don't want to drive. There's been an incident before where we almost drove past someone not knowing where we were. Right. So we just want to know what they look like, who they like. And then I normally ask, is it a good or bad one? That's just probably for my own personal use, so I can just justify even more, like, we need to get this guy off the street, and then we move in. And the way a Sting works, we all meet in an area, wherever it is. We'll be close to where they are. It's down to whether we've got a child meet or we're doing a door knock. Child meet's the ultimate charge. Yeah, because it means they actually went out. They actually went out the way to carry out their actions.
Fully intentional.
Well, it's not just chit chat online.
Caught literally red-handed.
Yeah. And you've got to look at it this way. I'm going to say this now. Anyone that's got a problem with it being a decoy, a fake child, just imagine if it wasn't us, then what would it be?
How many people do you get that from that have a problem with that?
You're trying to draw me into just like the
Tony Robson. I can't imagine. I can't imagine anyone who's not a bad guy complaining about anything you guys are doing. It's fucking madness to me.
Some people just think that everyone deserves to have the same treatment, and they don't, unfortunately. Yeah, if you're out there doing these kind of acts, I'm sorry, you lost a lot of rights as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. That's what I'm saying.
You've lost your human rights.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
you've already lost the right that I care whether we come to pick you up on the street and ruin your day. Now, what we do care about, and this is what I love about this team. We don't just look at the target and go, right, like I said, that guy that was walking down the road with the child, we could have just gone in, grabbed him, didn't care about what effect it was going to have on the child. But we'd be there for at least an hour because, that'd be the other one. But, if we went there and done that, the child's going to go through a horrific ordeal. It's going to be upsetting for the child. So their main concern is, we're going to get this guy. He's not going nowhere. We're going to get him. Our main concern now is what sort of effects it's going to have on that child. It doesn't matter, even though what he's a scumbag, doesn't matter, because now you're playing into the field of other mentalities. So it's all about safeguarding, which I love about this team. And this one particular case I'm referring to, we waited for the guys to go in. Our team did when they done door knock. We said to him, we need to have a word. He's come outside, and once we've got him, we then take him around the corner. And the reason why you see him in alleyways, we will deliberately take him out of sight for lots of reasons. One, as a security team, and this is one bit that I really hate, but unfortunately it's what we've got to do. Because of the way legislation changed and the way teams have had to evolve, we now have a duty of care for that person. Yeah? So now that we've got him in our control as such, and we're interviewing them and we're highlighting them, lighting them up, as we say, if anyone else tries to attack him or do anything,
that's on you guys.
We have to protect him.
So if you're on someone's doorstep that's on a main road and there's people walking past and you're saying, you've done this, someone jumps in and that's
you know,
on
you've only
guys.
got to be on a live estate and doing a sting.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
shouts out the window, "Thingy's a pedo, he's getting stung," and someone's
And you
chucking
fucking-
bricks at him and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I can
Shit,
imagine it
I
right
didn't
now.
even think of any of that.
I had
I
one
didn't
this
even
year
think of
already. We did go live with this for safeguard. Again, we caught a guy. I ain't going to go through the details because this one I don't think went public as such. But because there were certain circumstances around the person involved and the families, we didn't go live because of safeguarding the family still. We still got him picked up by the police. We still
Just
got him sent
because
away.
it's not his family that's done something. Just
No,
because
and
one
there were
member.
certain
Yeah,
contributing
yeah.
factors around it with the person. That so we just
Right,
went like, look,
right.
we still don't follow the procedure. It was in the best interest for everyone not to broadcast
do
this
it
live.
live.
So there'll be a lot of cases that I dealt with that from this team. I can't speak on behalf of other teams, but on this team where you wouldn't even know it happened. You know,
Right,
decoy ones
right.
because we caught a guy, but there was other factors around.
Where you couldn't broadcast.
Yeah, so is it going to be worth it? You know, no, this could bring other factors on for the family.
It just feels to me, obviously, I this isn't something I do. This just feels to me like you guys are doing something that's really beneficial, but yet there's still so much tiptoeing.
Someone's still
stepping on
gonna have a problem
eggshells
with
and
it.
fucking red tape all around everything. It's so fucking like.
So can you imagine if that's like us for us, and we ain't got an answer to nobody? Imagine what the red tape's like for the police and your authorities.
Yeah,
when
no,
you get
yeah,
frustrated
for sure,
from it.
for sure.
And I think the police appreciate in a way like that because like we take away that problem.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need to go through this. They don't need to do all these interviews. They don't need to go looking for evidence. They don't need to. So when they're told someone's doing something, unless they've got overwhelming evidence, they go pick them up. Now if they haven't, they've got to create those files. They've got to create that log. You know, we take that out of their hands. We basically turn up with a full pack. Here you go, everything you need. Here's what he's done. Here's what he's been doing for the last 6 weeks. There's evidence to back everything up. Yeah, this is why we're here. And most of the time, I say
Happy Christmas.
pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what? Something that I learned yesterday as well with the team. I didn't know this, but I got told they will not do any things leading up to Christmas because of the effect it will have on other family members like around that time. So even if unless it's something horrific,
yeah.
unless it's something
very
horrific,
amicable.
yeah. But if not, so it's just it's little things like that where it shows that they're in it for the right reasons. They're thinking about all the other factors.
Well, we go into the occult here on the show, Liam. What I would say was they probably don't want to disrupt the energy harvesting from the solar death cult's birthday, which is Christmas Day.
Yeah,
on that note, I'm just going to go to the toilet and I'll leave Lance to ask you a question.
There's enough energy harvesting going on. So how many stings in total did you say you've been involved in now?
With me, it's frustrating with me because there's a lot that I can't do. So maybe say 1 in 5 since I've been involved. If I get involved, I might do a couple on a trot, but a lot of it just comes down to not be able to be available at that time or whenever. The amount of times I get a message, like we're doing a sting Saturday, I don't know, say Southampton as an example. Well, I'm due to be in up north on a fight show. It's like 3 o'clock and I can't meet the team at 9 o'clock over there.
As we have to most weekends, drive up north where all the hard men are, mate.
That's where we are next week, mate. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So.
London's all right. Listen, I always say, like, for boxing, the South's all right. There's still, like, what I call the boxing shows. But for MMA and for the other martial arts, if you really want the good show, you've got to fucking go up north.
I don't know. You've got a couple of good ones down here that are doing all right.
There's one or two, but there's per capita a lot more up north. So for our guys like us, Saturdays, usually up the M1 and a little bit further.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for my routine, I'd be on every sting with them. It's one of those things.
Mate, I could tell, mate, it's something you're clearly very passionate about. And, you know, like I say, the feedback we're getting in the comments, everyone is, you know, in awe of you, basically. You know, someone's out there fucking doing something about it. Like I say, we can talk about these things on the internet, you know, but you're on the front line, and that's why we're very pleased to talk to you today.
And just say that it's because our connection. I said, hey, I'll come and shed some light on this topic.
Yeah, well, you came to me. You approached me, and when you did, I was like, ding, ding, this is amazing content, first of all. And like I say, we want to speak to people on the front line rather than other researchers and talking heads like ourselves.
I just smashed my knee on your banister.
Oh dear. So we've talked about the stings. Do you mind going in a little bit about what this den thing is?
Yes, so we understand the process for a sting. Us getting him off the street immediately. There's never a real child involved. Now, I learned about 3 specific cases last. I'm going to tell you about one on just while we were on the thing for decoy.
Okay.
Now, this guy's name is again, I've got it written down. If I need to refer to the name for people to look it up, they can. It's the stings on the page. They can look it up and give a date where it was. And this was a guy who looked like a very respectable sort of granddad sort of age. I don't know, 60, something like that. Well dressed, very well done. But anyway, he had 6 weeks worth of horrific chat with what he thought was an 11-year-old. I'm not going to give out addresses. I'm not addresses, sorry, locations or anything, because we don't want to jeopardise team members and stuff. But what happened was he'd been chatting away with this child, and over time he had groomed what he thought he'd groomed this 11-year-old, and he'd gone through details of what he's going to do and acts that he's going to get the child to carry out. So obviously the team's been assembled. We've been put in place for a sting. They've arranged to meet the guy, and he had travelled from a long way away to put himself in an area where he thought a child was.
Are we talking hundreds of miles?
Probably not hundreds, but not far off, probably 50, 60 at least.
Couple of hours.
Yeah. So we've had some that have travelled from 2 hours away and come meet us somewhere, like Hastings Station. We've done a sting, and the guy travelled from up north, like Birmingham, to come down and stuff like that. So they're not lazy, I'll say that. But this guy particularly come down. And I go for it this way rather than it would be nice. So we've done this. I wasn't there on this particular one. I'm kind of glad, but I wish I was. Look, you'll see why for the details.
Yeah.
So 11-year-old, and when they collared him near a hotel because he'd booked 2 nights at a hotel for him and a female. Now they'd done the sting. They collared him, and they went into the hotel staff to notify them what's going on. I said, look, is it possible we can get him off the street and we take him up to the room where it's private when we do our sting and wait for the police? So they've said, yeah. They then notified the team that, this morning he come down and changed his booking from 2 adults, a male and a female, to, he's going to have his granddaughter there. So obviously his head's ticking. He's really thinking about how he can cover this up. Part of the chats and all that, he'd referred to doing different things with a child and carrying out different acts and so on and getting onto role play with stuff. When the team got up, and again, you can watch the live on this, it's on their page. Okay, I'll give you the name in a minute, the direct name, and I'll look at my paperwork to make sure I don't make a mistake. When the team got him up in the room, I kid you not, on the bed, he had laid out all these chocolates and teddies ready for the kid.
Fucking hell.
Okay, he also had a leash with a collar that he intended to make the child wear. He
like
had
a fucking dog lead.
Yeah, we referred to it as a cat because he had a cat litter tray for the child to use.
What?
He had,
What?
Yeah, this is real.
I mean, who the fuck puts a cat on a lead anyway?
Well, he tried to make
Monster.
it out. It was for her pet dog and other things. It was a tiny little lead for and they're going, what's this for? It don't suit to anything. But he also had a litter tray and he had.
Sorry, where is this?
This is in the hotel room.
A hotel
room. So he's got the hotel room now. He also had what a team would do this thing again. You can go on their page. You hunt back. I'll tell you the name and date roughly.
Did the fucking hotel reception not raise an eyebrow when some cunt's walking in with some kitty litter and a fucking?
Well, he could just have it in a rucksack, couldn't he? Doesn't mean you could see it. You know, like they didn't know he's walking in. He could have a bag like with stuff in. You can't see the bag. You see a bag, and what you got to understand as well, like more awareness has been created, so people are looking at it even more. But most everyday people will justify something as normal. Because they're not thinking that way. They're not. That way.
They're not bad
Exactly.
people. But
So-
careful. I
PDF
nearly said it now.
They're not bad guys. They're not bad guys.
Nearly
Let's
said
put
it.
So basically, yeah, they've got up there, and sure enough, he had all the stuff there laid out. He had it all displayed out, ready for this child. You know, as far as he's concerned, he'd hoaxed an 11-year-old child to come and meet him at the hotel. They then also caught him trying to drop something to hide it, and would open it up. He had cling film with loads of tablets in it.
Again, I've not got any kids, but how did this guy think that an 11-year-old's parents would let them just go to a fucking hotel?
That's what I thought.
How would you?
But somehow
I haven't got any kids again, but like I know my friends have. They would not let their fucking kid just 11 at that age go to a hotel or anything like that, or even be out of any adult sight for that. Like,
or even be in the headspace where you thought you could go and meet an adult at a hotel at 11 years old.
So
but there obviously are some kids that are pretty much neglected or not looked after that are like that.
So
Otherwise, this problem wouldn't happen.
Is that who these people are predatoring on?
Well, to be honest with you,
preying
you've got to aim for the. What they're doing is fishing, really, because if you've got to look at this, I've really case studied this stuff and trying to understand psychologically like how does this work, because the more you understand it, the more you can try and tackle it as well from the avenues that I work in. So, they're fishing pretty much, ain't they? Because when they first go to a profile, they've got no background, no connection. They don't know nothing about family, vulnerability, anything like that. And they just approach a profile. And I guess they're kind of doing real-time assessments on this child, is what I take it. And if they can home in or get a connection going or home in on some sort of vulnerability, I guess that's what
it's probably a numbers game as well, isn't it? They're doing it so many, and they've got all these profiles doing it, and they've got me categories. This one's really receptive. This one's almost up for a meet.
I can't get my head round how anyone would think that is gonna going to a hotel to meet an 11-year-old girl is gonna end up in anything but a fucking bad guy sting. I can't understand how you've got to be a fucking retard. Like, I wouldn't go, you know, when I was a teenager, I wouldn't go to a hotel room to pick up an eighth of weed off someone I didn't fucking know.
Yeah, it sounds well dodgy,
I just
doesn't
wouldn't
it?
fucking do it. Like, do you know what I mean? I can't understand how you've got to be a special kind of stupid, I think, to do it that way. What you're describing.
Maybe
there.
they're just getting brazen because stuff.
It would
like
be
that
different if it
wouldn't
was
work.
like a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old where their parents or guardians
I think
are
you
gonna
were at.
let
I
them
think
out.
you were at
Do
the
you-
room when Lee said that the paedophile, sorry, the bad guy books the hotel room
Right,
for
that's
a
it.
man
You
and a
said it
woman.
first. You owe me and Lee £10 each.
And then changed his booking for his granddaughter coming.
Right, yeah, but
so
this
that's
is-
what he
but-
said to the
but-
hotel
but
was
for-
the cover story.
No, I'm trying to put myself in the position of the fucking nonce. Like, if it was a 15-year-old, I would accept that her parents are going to let her out of sight. She's going to be going out with her friends.
Oh, what,
maybe getting a bus into town. She would be eligible to go and meet you at a hotel room. Whereas a fucking 11-year-old,
Yeah,
like,
11-year-old
you've got
was-
to be a fucking retard. Come on.
Well, yeah, it just sounds
Like,
a bit too good to be true.
yeah,
An
yeah,
11-year-old's going to
come
get on the bus and
come
come
on.
and meet you at the
I'd just
travel
go
lodge.
for a 5-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
just tell your 5-year-old to jump in a taxi.
See if a baby's got a smartphone, will they come and meet you?
Like, you've got to be a bit of a fucking retard. Do you know what I'm getting
Well,
at here?
they're obviously not right in the head in the first place, aren't
Well, yeah, that's it.
No,
But-
no, on the contrary, mate, there's a lot of bad guys in history which have been very, very, and I say intelligent from a IQ point of view. But that, to me, is just fucking done.
Well, yeah, let's face it, though, these things are not catching, like...
Your Sigmund Freuds.
They're not catching Sigmund
Yeah,
Freud,
yeah,
are
yeah,
they?
yeah.
They're
No,
catching,
not.
they're catching the street people that are.
This is
doing
just
it.
madness to me. Like, this is just fucking
Well,
madness.
you're going to find this really interesting now because I learned a lot last night and understand what it as in that's decoys. Yeah, so imagine we've caught someone as horrific as that. He 100% was going to carry through what
Fucking
he said.
bang to rights.
He'd
Dude,
gone
I'd
out of his
kill
way.
it a thing in a fucking corner.
Yeah. So there's no doubt. Imagine what sort of chance an 11-year-old child would have stood in that
No
situation.
chance, no.
Yeah. So now anyone that wants to moan about, well, it's not a real child. Well, isn't that a good thing?
Did that
Because
person
imagine-
get convicted?
Well, I was going to share this. His name's Michael Casey. If
Boom,
you wanna look
guys.
through,
Michael Casey.
It's, I'm sure there's stuff online about it, but if you want to
Getting
go
him
through
up,
the
getting
Cobra
out.
page, they recently put up that he got sentenced 40 months. Yeah, he got 40 months.
40
sentence.
months?
40 months sentence recent for this. So
Sorry, 14?
40.
40 months.
Still not enough.
So
Yeah, still
he'll
not
be
enough.
out in 18, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, he has been convicted. We did get him arrested.
What was his name, Lee?
Michael Casey.
Casey.
Michael.
Michael.
Oh, I've got to press the button.
Oh, Michael. I was about to say, when you come on the show earlier, I was meant to do the disclaimer. We obviously talk about very hard-hitting subjects on this show, but we do mix it with dark humour. Never to distract from the subject, but that's just part of what we do.
It's Michael Jackson. It's Michael Jackson.
We don't just have an assortment of alleged paedophiles on it either.
No,
We've got Jimmy Savile, Michael Jackson.
You stop saying the
Sorry. I'm not used to these new rules. Are you trying to find this guy on the internet?
Yeah, I've got it. I've
Oh,
got
you
it.
got it?
I've got him as a. We went to speak to 25-year-old Michael Casey. Is this you guys? Is this a Cobra deal?
No,
Oh no, Essex
no,
Police.
He's an old guy. He was an older guy.
Oh, that's not him.
different
That's a
Michael
different
Casey.
with the same name.
So
how fucked up is that?
I'm not sure what would be online, but it's on the Cobra page. Obviously on their Cobra Hunters UK.
I'm sure if you went directly onto the sex offenders register, you find it. So is that like the weirdest setup you found at a sting? Cat litter tray.
Oh, that's quite extreme. Yeah,
That's quite-
that's
that's quite extreme.
really going in depth into it. Most of them are just looking to do a meet and
They've just got a bag of
maybe they've
sweets or
planned
something.
something like, oh, we go cinema, we go get a drink, or we go
Yeah.
to McDonald's. And obviously they've got other intentions. They've spoke about. They've made lots of sexual references to the child. They send videos. Some people send masturbation videos to a child, trying to teach them how to masturbate and trying to prompt them to use things and this and
And
that.
those
Like,
poor-
this is all the things we get off on where we build a case. You know, they might specifically be referring to what they're going to do. They're going to specifically say they're going to have sexual intercourse or do certain acts with them.
I don't think I could do this as a job, day in, day out.
There's been a few tested ones where
I
I've had
don't
to step
think I
away
could do
because.
Have you ever had to stop yourself?
Yeah, I've had to step away a few times.
I was going to
so-
say earlier, Lee,
Yeah.
it's actually probably pretty beneficial for you personally that you come from a martial arts background
Yeah,
where
you've
you
got that
actually taught
discipline.
to control yourself.
Well, we are
Because
trained
I know
protocol discipline.
many of my friends. A lot of the people in the chat right now would not be so calm and collective
Yes,
when
well,
approaching these people. If you'd known what was going on.
I've said it before, like, this is the other thing I say, duty of care. We've not had a lot of incidents. Most people stop, we just ask them to move along and say, it's all good. But we had one incident not too long ago where 3 young lads had caught onto a sting that we was doing. It's a decoy one, so obviously, and they got the wrong end of the stick. I thought we was going to let them go, and they started to try and come and get a bit of aggressive. And you know what? As I pushed away, I sort of spoke to them on a
little
level.
college lads.
Well, three
Billy Big
lads.
Bollocks and his mate.
Yeah, they weren't really a threat, but together they could be. If that makes sense, you know. But but when I spoke to him, I said, "How do you think we feel? You know, you think I want to sit and talk to this guy? Like, we just want to make sure he gets took off the street. He's not here tomorrow doing the same thing for another child, you know, and we've done our job. Like, he's out of circulation. That's our main thing. So, and you know, with a few people, you make them realise that, it makes them realise that actually we do feel the same. And this is what I say, I understand from police. If it's their hands are tied more, they probably can't express how they feel. Yeah, because they lose their job or whatever, they get in more trouble. So just because that person's doing that job or doing a certain protocol to a certain following doesn't mean they believe that's the right course of justice for that person. But in what they're trying to achieve and the organisation they work in, unfortunately, that is the procedure, the protocols. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like us as a couple, I'd love to ragdoll, and I won't go any further than that, but I'd love to just teach you a lesson. Yeah, but he's not going to get arrested. He's going to walk away, and we're going to lose the case.
Yeah, you're going to get arrested. You're going to have a charge,
and he'll heal up unless you kill him.
Yeah. And also, I appreciate, like, listen. The other thing is the Cobra team. I've got so much respect for them because the more I learn about what they're doing behind the scenes, like the more I respect them. And would I want to jeopardise all the hard work they've put into it because I can't control my ego?
I would say there's a degree of trust from them in you as well.
I think I've earned that over time now because they've seen how I operate, how I. You know, I'm not there for the limelight. I'm not there. I'm actually there to be educated, and I'm passionate about the team. And you know, I want to make sure they're safe while they're doing their job. That's the main thing. I don't get involved with stings.
For everyone who obviously not in the studio here, I can't assure you, Lee looks like a football hooligan, but he's actually a really nice guy. Yeah.
I got told by a very close friend today, who I've known for years, was talking about combat shows and actually works on the combat scene. And she told us, if I met you somewhere else, I'd be really scared because I know you.
Fucking right.
You're a big teddy bear. I love you. I said, listen, it depends what my job is at the time and who you are in that role. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You know, like I've spent 25 years teaching children, 4 years up. So just when I'm in a class with the kids,
have you got kids yourself?
Yeah. Boys, but when I'm in a classroom with the kids, like people see what I deal with now and go, how are you going to teach that? When I'm in there with the kids, I'm the biggest kid with them.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
They're not even catching on to what we're tackling the problem. We're having too much fun and dealing with little kiddified scenarios, you know. But the parents can go, wow, they're learning a system that in 10 years' time, when they face this problem, or if they ever come across this problem, I hope no child does, but they do, that I can see how that system works when we evolve that as they grow up. Does that make sense? Right now, we're talking about getting lost. And what if a stranger offers to give you help but asks you to go with them? Do we do
Lee,
this?
who comes up with your syllabus, if you want to call it that?
I'll be honest with you, my teacher, Master Glenn Stevens, who's out in Australia, he was the regional director for Cobra self-defense systems out there, but I think they might have just changed to Rhino Tactical. There's a lot of things changing at the moment.
Right.
But he really is a pioneer. He's leagues ahead when it comes to real life self-defense and child safety. That's what he specialises in now. We deliver a programme all over the world called CAP. We're just setting one up with Franco from ECA.
Yeah.
We're just setting one up with Coach
I did Franco's show a couple of weeks ago. I'm back in Kent on the 27th for Evolution.
Yeah. You was there, weren't we? We was reffing it. Yeah. Was that Bloodline?
Yeah, Bloodline was the last one, but I'm doing Evolution as well now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So
looking forward to it.
We're in the process of talking to one of his coaches, Courtney. She's helped us set up a course there. You know, so we'll get that training down there and just try and get it in with the children. But the main thing is like it's even talking about it with adults, you've got to be touchy and sensitive about what you're saying sometimes.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Probably more so.
Yeah. And with children, it's for people to realise that you've got professionals like myself, and we get given all this content and input from high-level professionals and what you call specialists in this area who have dedicated 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Our sources are law enforcement based, but it's not martial arts when we teach this sort of stuff. It's real life, like, jab crossing. This is another thing. We do a lot of myth busting in our courses. So when we're at Franco's, we start off the course. I'll do an adults chat outside for 20 minutes with the parents while the kids are having fun with one of the instructors warming up. And I'll be covering all this sort of content, things I see, the problems we have, what we need to prepare the kids for, the sort of things to look out for. And we walk in the room with the kids, everything's kiddified. With the kids, we would then go through a process with them and make sure like they understand just simple things like what's good behaviour, what's bad behaviour, all these different kind of things. So it's just like there's so many avenues to this. I'm learning more and more and more and more. So I learn loads.
I'm sure it's a developing thing that you pick up.
Well, they're on about now. It's about education. Yeah, it's about education, educating people. And if you look at it like swimming, it's like going, right, we don't need to teach kids about swimming because we've got lifeguards. We just put a lifeguard everywhere.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No one's going to throw a kid in the water. If you're worried about people throwing kids in the water, they're not going to do it in front of a lifeguard.
That's quite literally what's
Does that make
happened to
sense?
the state. Everyone just hands their kids over to the state, go to school.
Listen, well, I've grown up by the water. My family a long time by the water. I remember as a kid, it was drilled into me. The first thing I ever remember is you must immediately learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Because and for many people, it's not really that much important. But like where I lived and with my family being by the water all the time with our job and everything, the chances you fall in the water are quite high. If you fall in the water and no one's watching, you will drown.
Fucked, Michael.
You are fucked. You are fucked. So it's like as soon as you can walk in my family, you have to learn how to swim. And I find it crazy when I meet adults that have never learned how to swim.
Me too.
To me, that is utterly mental.
Right, so imagine how crazy. That's a good thing there to say that. So imagine how crazy that sounds for people that live by the water. And I lived down New Haven. That's where I got my black belts. So I was living in New Haven, Seaford, Brighton way.
Yeah.
And the water's right there, as close to what it is here. So it's a big thing there. Now, we're around strangers every day of our life.
Yeah.
And for once your kids turn probably 2 sometimes with nursery, or 4, 5 going to school, you are voluntarily, because you haven't got a choice, you've got life, work, and other things to do, dropping your child off and they're out of your sight for 8 hours a day, say. Now, this is the other thing I cover. People think, school and it's this and that. We've picked up people and things from every single background. One of the cases we done last year was a 25 or 26-year-old. This thing's on the page as well.
Right.
I can't remember this guy's name. He was 26-year-old. He was 6 months freshly qualified as a primary school teacher.
Wow.
Okay? And he was teaching year 4s, I think, and we collared him on 3 13-year-old girls.
What age group is that, year 4?
Year 4, so it'd be around 8, 9 years of age.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 8 or 9. So he's teaching 8, 9-year-olds in the school. He looked very respectful, very well spoken.
I'm sure he did.
His mum was there. We had to safeguard his mum. His mum was in a mess there. She kept screaming, "What have you done?" She was just in shock. She had no idea, So again,
What do you mean his mum was there working?
No. We had a sting. So when we went and collared him, we went and done door knock.
Right.
So he's come to the door. We've took him off around the corner in an alleyway, and this is the other thing.
So you wouldn't ever do that in a school. You wouldn't ever bust into a school.
No.
So hold on,
how
wait
many
a minute.
children are there?
Yeah.
So hold on, wait a minute. This guy was in his home, so he wasn't actually on his way to meet someone. You just had enough evidence to go and door knock him.
So if there's enough,
Oh, wow.
right? So I explained a couple of things that happened. Yeah, and there's a good case. I think the team are brilliant. We've got trackers. So once we know they're there, and we're sort of assembling the hunters in the message. The trackers are already working every way possible to make sure we know where they work, where they live, photos, where they might go, places of interest, gyms they might train at. Like, we use every avenue we can to try and figure out where. And then if they can, the ultimate way to catch them, if we can't find their address, get them to a child meet. And also a child meet is the biggest charge we can get on them, because they're physically gone to carry out their act, if that makes sense. It's not just talk. But if not, and we've got enough evidence, and we know we've got enough evidence, he needs to be caught, we will go to his house, and we go to his place of work and get him. We had a case recently where the guy pretended that he was working at a Mercedes garage. I won't say where it was. I think it was East London way, but I won't say exactly. And we went there to get him, and we walked into a big Mercedes garage. Like, you've got their own security there and everything. There's about 8, 9 of us rocking down the path. He's got a big service area, so it was blatant. We was rocking up there. 3 of our team went in, not to be too alarming, and security didn't really want to help me. So we go, no, this guy don't work in. We had a picture of him. He'd used a friend's picture, like a catfish type thing. Yeah,
who actually worked there.
Yeah, yeah. So we're like, no. The guy didn't work there, but they're like, this guy don't work here. When we showed the picture, like, he don't work here. We've never seen before.
Right. So it wasn't actually somebody that worked there. I was going to say that'd be fucking mortifying.
Well, imagine that.
Yeah.
Someone catfished using your photo, and Lee and the crew turn up at your place.
But imagine you're there behind a desk,
Fuck.
like trying to sell a car to someone.
Yeah.
You got a fucking bad guy team come up.
So how did you get past having the fake picture?
Well, what happened was, this is how good our trackers are. Okay, what happened was, basically when we went there, we still got this guy online messaging that he was meant to meet us at that time, but he sort of blew us off. So we went down to get him, and he'd sent pictures of a car. He said he dealt with, like, in a Mercedes garage with a car and all that. And he took this picture of this car and showed it. Apparently, it's one of the cars that he was doing up and all that. So when the Mercedes garage were going, look, we don't know this guy. He doesn't work here, and we're kind of like, are they just protected? So I'm not protected, somebody, they just don't want to deal with us. And so there's lots of things that happen. And when we looked across the thing, there's the car on their forecourt that he sent a picture of. That was it. It's the car, like it's there. Like, we're showing them a picture on. Here's the car. It's there. They still didn't know, and it was a guy that worked for some car wash place that happened to wash cars for him. That done it, but he's totally different looking. So what happened was our trackers looked down. He was going through his profile and stuff.
So he'd come to that garage to wash a car,
do something.
He's
to that
taking
car.
a picture of it,
Probably do some detailing on it or something.
Yeah. But what we knew for sure now was we're in the right area.
So he was blagging a fake kid about working at the Mercedes garage when he's actually a car washer.
Yeah. So
what a loser.
So what they done anyway, they see on his profile, because on his profile he didn't have no proper pictures of him. It was very cleverly done. They are sometimes, and he was selling some women's clothes. So we set up an adult meet that was buying clothes off him.
Sorry, he was what?
Selling some women's clothes. It was his partners or something. They're selling some clothes. So we set up a meet like, oh, we want to buy the clothes. Like it's a female, so we got one of our female.
Who
decoys.
are these people?
Mental.
Who are these people?
It was his partners apparently. They were sending them, and he was the person dealing with it. So both it was, and that's how we collared him. He come to meet us to sell clothes, and we've got you. Now we know what he looked like, and we do checks, like for instance, so we check is his phone number the valid number that's messaging the decoy. If they won't show us, then we get the decoy to ring it while we're standing there. The decoy's name will come up on the phone right in front of us. So at this point is when we light him up.
Bang to rights, bang to rights.
So Jay and them are really, really clever about. They don't want to ever highlight the wrong person. So you'll notice on our stings, not everyone does it. The camera stay down until they've either admitted they know the child, the profile, or until if they're not admitting that, we get the decoy to call his phone direct. And
so you're not potentially ruining the wrong person's life by putting their pictures and their video all over, saying this person's a nonce all over Facebook or something.
So once we got confirmation, that camera goes up, boom, there you go, everyone can see him, this is who it is. And then we start, they start, I'm just in the background, you wouldn't even know I'm there most of the time, I'm just in the background, keeping an eye out, make sure everyone's safe, no one's going to approach them. We normally as a team, there's enough of us, we shut off angles, so if they decide to run, we kind of got every angle covered. You know, it's just little tactical things we do to try
because this is totally different to some of the things that I've seen on Facebook. Like some of them, they're chasing someone down the street who sometimes they've clearly got mental health issues, or they're just not right and
retarded.
Yeah, well, that would be the
retarded.
The term that's come back into popularity recently. And
shout out to Donald Trump for that. Cheers, mate.
And they're basically putting this person bang to rights before even showing any evidence. They're filming their face and everything. And I think it's from sloppy work like that that this kind of thing has potentially got a bit of a bad reputation. But from everything you're describing now, you're doing things on like a forensic level.
You boys seem to have your shit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's why I stuck with his team, because I need a team.
Is there many women involved with what you guys do?
Yeah, in our team we've got Shelley. She's well known online. Everyone know her. She does a lot of the interrogating and sort of stings. We've got a couple of others making that behind the scenes.
Is it many geezers like yourself?
Yes. With us, we've got Jay, we've got Steve, we've got Ricardo, we've got myself, we've got Viking, we've got a couple of other guys there that jump in. Nice. Yeah, I've even brought a friend of mine along before who's sort of securing that and backed us up because we need some more security.
Can we come on a sting, Lee?
Can you? I would talk.
Can Rise Above come on a sting? We'll stay in the background. We'll be good as gold.
Do you know what? I would talk to them. I can't promise that because it depends. Do you know what I love about this team?
We go on a low levels thing.
I'm not going to answer for them. I will ask this. I would generally ask them and say to them, but
we'd love to do that, won't we, Lance?
I think it'd be great.
Yeah. It's just you have to behave yourselves, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Can I ask you a question, Lee? I've got a question for you.
We'll have a break in a minute.
You mentioned before we went live in the studio, you were talking about live streams.
Yeah.
This is not something I was aware of. Do you want to just give
to be honest with you, we've got if you guys are happy with it, I've got a whole what we've really covered right now is pretty much why decoys are there and what you see as a live stream.
You're going to go into this later?
We will talk about the den and this is shocking.
Okay. Should we have a break now then?
Yeah, let's do it.
We can break it up that way.
We'll have a 5 or 6 minute break. I'm going to start off with a music video from Inspector Veg. Don't forget, Inspector Veg is performing live at the Rise Above Hotel Weekender Live in the Flesh Part 2. That's August Bank Holiday, 23rd to the 24th of August.
That's awesome.
Get your tickets now. Scan the QR code. They start only £15. So, yeah, we'll start off with an Inspector Veg track. We'll see you in about 5 minutes.
This is a holographic construct.
If you wanna fuck up the system, you gotta clean that pie. Knock off the Fanta, Pepsi, stop drinking a Sprite. You gotta wrestle with the worms, gotta be ready to fight. You gotta watch what you chew, rude boy. You gotta watch what you buy. I ain't no slave, I'm a chain break. Composed in the middle of the madness, yo, with a straight face. I embrace faith, cause I know who I am. I'm the non-physical one with no name, and it don't change. I will crush the status quo until old age. This ain't road rage, man, it's Coldplay. Yo, why about me, man, I'm okay. Really, I always was. Doubting myself was like doubting God. See, I'm cut from a different cloth. Man, I felt like half my life was lost. Had a lot of negativity around me, but I had to lock it all off. Like, I didn't fall off. Life had me up against the rope, but I came back, bang, what bull rock. If you wanna fuck up the system, you gotta clean that pie. Knock off the Fanta Pepsi. Stop drinking a Sprite. You gotta wrestle with the worms. Gotta be ready to fight. You gotta watch what you chew, rude boy. You gotta watch what you buy. I don't care if you got big muscles. Don't care about your ring, I don't care about your chain. I don't care about your gold, Lord knows. I don't really care about your wardrobe. I don't care about your whip. I don't care if your girl's got the biggest tits. Just an illusion, it don't mean nothing to me. I turn a nightmare into a dream. I'm VEG, broke out of the chains. Now I'm free, floating around on the astral planes. That's why you can't see me lie, planting seeds. Watch them grow, I be sitting back looking at trees when I'm old. And I reap what I sow and I break the mold. Now everything I touch turns to gold. If you wanna fuck up the system, you gotta clean that pie. Knock off the Fanta Pepsi. Stop drinking a Sprite. You gotta wrestle with the worms. Gotta be ready to fight. You gotta watch what you chew, rude boy. You gotta watch what you buy. Bad things happen, so many haters and time wasters. I get betrayed and I get trolled. It's okay, the most high knows. I got PMA, so many goals. I'm not afraid, I never froze. Couldn't get swayed, that's why I rose. Yeah, this is the life I chose, on a mission for the shine. So when I ask for the beat, don't ask for a P. Just send me the stems, you dickhead. Cause I know that it's harsh, but the last MC that you had on your beat was a dickhead. When you see me on road, you better show respect. Won't stop till I get global rest. I hear battling with global tech, at the same time gotta keep my colon fresh. If you wanna fuck up the system, you gotta clean that pie. Knock off the Fanta Pepsi. Stop drinking a Sprite. You gotta wrestle with the worms. Gotta be ready to fight. You gotta watch what you chew, rude boy. You gotta watch what you buy.
Fancy spending a whole weekend away from Clown World? Well prepared to take off your tinfoil hat and join us at the next Rise Above Live in the Flesh Part 2 August Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender. With 3 days of engaging talks, panel discussions, interactive workshops, nightly after parties, speed dating, meet new friends, socialise, network and make connections from Bournemouth's golden sandy beaches. Located 10 minutes away from Bournemouth train station at the Celebrity Hotel, come and join us on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of August, this bank holiday 2025, and get your tickets on our website today.
Reports of a plane crash in the World Trade Center in New York.
Outside Liverpool Street Station.
11 people have been confirmed dead in an attack on the controversial French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. 5 people are in critical condition.
Have been killed in Paris and more than 200 are injured in a series of attacks across the city.
There have been 2 explosions at Brussels Airport and a blast at a city centre Metro station.
It's double L, you've heard of me, the flow's poison, liquid mercury. Hear my voice when I curse this beat, I let it moisten before surgery. Still be in charge, repeat offender, for revealing elitist agenda. Still at large, delete the data, success or defeat or retreat or surrender. And I can't let go, killer artist Charlie Hebdo. That's a false flag, actors in tow, and a blame Islam for the media show. 2 weeks later, Copenhagen, could it be bait of these global pagans? These traitors feed off people hating, so nothing's changed. Guilty as charged, repeat offence. My arse is back on the bench. The prosecution speaks my offensive views on my former defence. So hence, saw the wheat from the chaff. The covert conflicts, rearranged maps. Government funded, hidden bloodbath, there is misinformation, way off the graph. So seek out multiple sources. Be beware of malevolent forces. They steer clear minds off courses. Hold your orbit strong like a fortress. On operating a lawless state. The internet's like an open gateway. I gain knowledge at raucous rates that I disseminate with flawless pace. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. Fearful thoughts gain traction. Step 1 in a chain reaction. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. That's a direct action, breaking down our human attraction.
Not really free your mind, it's free yourself from mind. That's why society is structured to completely engross us in things to occupy our mind. Open your mind.
There's a war going on for our minds, for our attention, for our lives, and it keeps going on because we remain blind. The system is shoving in Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. Fearful thoughts gain traction, step one in a chain reaction. Playing GTA, well, you're flushing the focus away. I'm cruising through this breathing illusion. Why do I need your game to play? This is real, are you feeling me? It's all vice in the city, no liberty. Put down the Xbox controller when I bust a verbal soliloquy. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. That's a direct action, breaking down our human attraction. There's no need for a power up, I discharge my aura. Climb a mountain, cross a border, attack an in a mind explorer. I want a PSC, a teleporter, to a land with no structural order. No distractions from warring factions, leading people like lambs to the slaughter. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. Fearful thoughts gain traction, step one in a chain reaction. See me, I write about issues, you wipe joy pads with tissues. Unconsciously moving along while your awareness is stuck in situ. For your mind it's a major misuse. You're online, settling disputes. In a deathmatch, throwing a smoke grenade, I'm in a sound clash smoking big suits. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. Fearful thoughts gain traction, step one in a chain reaction. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. That's a direct action, breaking down our human attraction. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. Fearful thoughts gain traction, step one in a chain reaction. Weapons of mass distraction, fired by warring factions. That's a direct action, breaking down our human attraction.
2, 1, and we are back. It's Rise Above
3,
live.
2, 1, 33.
Let's get all the fucking screens back on the go. We are absolutely cooking tonight. We have an amazing guest live in the studio, Mr. Lee Folen, Predator Hunter. He's been talking about his work with Cobra Hunters UK. We've been talking about some actual professional high-level paedophiles things.
Stop saying the fucking P word, Lance.
I'm not
We
sure.
all agreed
All right.
before. We all agreed.
Sorry, I keep breaking my own rule. I'm sorry. I'm not used. This is a new rule for us tonight. You have to give me a break. No. So Lee, you said we've sort of like covered some of the mechanics so far, right? Of what you've been doing, and honestly, I've been on the edge of my seat. It's been riveting stuff. But you said now we're going to go a bit deeper. Oh, sorry. You were muted. Go on.
I'm still muted there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the den, and this is where it gets really, really disturbing, I'd say, because actually the difference is this is a real child, and this is why you will never, ever, ever see den cases put online, because we're safeguarding a real person now. There's real people involved, real families, okay? So now I'm going to refer to a couple of cases that actually end up going public. So there was news reports on them. This is why I'm allowed to refer to them, because it's public knowledge now, okay? And what I'll probably end up doing is going through the details a little bit of what actually happened on that case, so you understand it. And this is why we will talk a bit more at the end. I was just discussing this offline, off air, sorry, saying that at the end, give some solutions, a bit of advice to people about where to go and what to do and so on. We get to that. But sites, so basically, I think we touched on this a bit before, and I literally found this out last night because I was on the phone to Cobra for about an hour 45, 50, get my information right, what I could say, what I couldn't say, and so on. And I said, look, how many cases? That's what they told me. I said, is it a daily thing in the den? They went, yes. It's worldwide, international and all, but the main countries involved are Canada, America and UK that are working together, okay? But they've come across cases in, I'll give you one example, Russia, that they tried to report to Russian authorities. Unfortunately, they just weren't on it like we would be in the UK or somewhere else. But in this particular case, it was a 13-year-old girl. She had over 160,000 pounds spent on her in an app, buying her gifts, and I'll explain how these apps work in a minute. And basically, when she got to the age
getting a fucking Lamborghini.
No, well, these are kids apps, and they're not kids app, but they're portrayed to be like a kids app. So what happens is, kids can earn rewards. You can buy tokens from. They can win. Like for a girl, the biggest prize might be a princess castle. Yeah,
right.
The princess castle costs like £350 on the app. Yeah,
What?
for a boy, it might be a Lamborghini.
Right.
Yeah,
So wait a minute. I've got to slow down on this because we've got to get this right. Do these apps work like a social media thing?
It's a streaming app, pretty much. So it's a live streaming app. Okay.
So the kids like. So if I'm just trying to get it right. If there wasn't any PDF file ILIA involved, what would the app be used for normally? The kids would be there streaming themselves doing something, and they would get people dinging a button, giving them prizes.
Yeah.
Right.
So pretty much what you've got to put is there's a reward system in place. Now, I've been teaching kids most of my life, And one of the main things I say to a parent is, look, this is why belt systems work really good in martial arts. Because whenever a child's got their first belt, we give a child a white belt within 5 lessons to build their confidence. It's all about character development. And guess what that child already wants next? The next belt. The next belt. The next belt. I want a black belt. Yeah, like that. And it's, if you look at a parent, you say, how many times can you tell your child they're going to be grounded, this, that, and the other, if they do something wrong, or if they don't do something, and you have nothing but headaches, and then you put a star chart on the fridge, and the kid's going to get a reward, they will go above and beyond to earn that star. Does that make sense? So reward works. Does that make sense? And now the only difference is these bad guys. See, Lance, I kept to the rules. You see that?
Yeah, nice one.
Bad
Cheers,
guys,
mate.
yeah.
Bad guys.
The bad guys understand that. So guess what they're using on there? They're using reward systems, money. Yeah, to buy tokens to go kids.
Right.
So what it is
This
start
is
off
so
with.
sick.
Yeah, start off with it might be just getting a child to do a bit of a dance, to sing a song, to do this. This is how grooming works on there, okay? And gradually over it, they'll offer on more and more and more. And then they'll say, right, can you do a dance with your top off? And this is where Merce said the levels online that they look at how they react. So now you're going into some exploitations happening, yeah? It just hasn't been completely naked or actions are carried out. And they'll be offering this child this money and this, that, and the other and so on. Like, not money, but rewards.
Gifts.
And the child just wants to get the rewards, so the child's just going with it now.
So let me just think. These rewards, the only monetary value exchange is going from the bad guy to the app bank.
Yeah.
The child, all they're getting is a pink castle on the screen.
From what I'm aware, from what I've been told so far, yes.
They're not actually getting any monetary value back past the on-screen emoji, icon, GIF, whatever it is.
From what I understand, what I've been told.
Sounds to me like a PDF file affiliate app to me.
I was about to say, this sounds like it's designed by PDF files for PDF files.
Well,
This
it's
is
a
nuts.
streaming site, and the thing was, as I was made aware
Is
of
this
yesterday.
an Israeli app?
It's probably Asian because we've got to remember in Asian cultures, people literally stream themselves doing anything, and it's mad. They have 20 phones in front of them, all streaming to different sites. They're mad about streaming. So I guess in some of those cultures, you could almost justify why you could have something like this because they do weird stuff like that without any, sexual abuse or anything.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, well, with the Russian one, basically with the 13-year-old, when she got to 16, they basically started to make her feel like she was an old woman. She was granddad. They actually coached her into bringing her 12-year-old daughter, sister online, and then exploited the sister because they threatened her to not give her gifts. She weren't worth anything anymore. This is a case in Russia, and they tried to liaise with Russian authorities and that, and they just weren't sort of cooperating to deal with it. And they said, they looked on the map, there's a police station literally 2 blocks away from the house where it was happening. They just couldn't get them to act on it. So that's one of the cases there. But one of the cases they caught online, and this is one we sort of mentioned on earlier, it shot me yesterday. I had to take a few breaths at this one. I was like, wow. And basically...
Trigger warning here, guys.
Yes, I would say definitely if you've got any children or anything like that around, make sure you're not listening to this next bit because I'm going to quote what I was told, which is quite explicit. So basically what it was, one of our decoys, or a lady behind the scenes, Lenny, who was on the phone to me last night, she's really heavily involved with it. Lenny's got over 20 years experience as safeguarding officer, worked with authorities on youth schemes and local councils with the Den. And the Den have even worked with schools. They've even had school teachers come in to learn off them, to get upskilled on what to look out for and how to safeguard children.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, it is. So
It's
they're well established and they work with some good authorities.
Unless they're nonces and they're going to learn what the fucking...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You'd hope not.
Yeah, but hang on. Before we go any further,
we've got.
Isn't it a well-known fact that PDF files go to professions where they're going to have
Where they have a
access to children?
justified reason to have access to children. Yeah.
I say it.
And if I was in that mindset, I would, maybe pose as someone.
It would make your life a lot easier if you
to
had
go and know what they were saying,
a legitimate reason to
how
be
much
around
information
children.
they've got, and like the tactics that they use, so that you could avert. And that's
it can happen. I guess
this is fucking scary.
With
man.
Cobra, I'd say I'd like to think they're quite in depth. They're quite close shop on it, so I'd say they'd only be trusted people getting there. I'd be very shocked if someone managed to get in there. And good luck because their tracking team and people online are just phenomenal. So they'd have probably done a really big background check or gone to a trusted source, trusted school. But listen, it's not a school or whatever problem, it's a people problem because, as we just discussed, and there's been people in the police force that have committed crimes, there's been
it's everywhere. It's everywhere, mate, across the board.
Yeah, we caught a caretaker not too long ago who seemed like he had some mental health issues, but he's working at SEN school.
In a school?
Yeah, SEN school. So I think that was their last thing or the one before. Special education needs and so on. So
like for special needs.
Yeah, so different levels of that, you could be classed as vulnerable.
Massive. some Jimmy Savile shit right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the proper when you're a really attuned predator, you go for the weakest prey to get the easiest kill. And obviously, children, in those institutions with special needs, with learning difficulties, more difficult to explain their experiences. Less people around that are going to listen. Be honest, they're in those institutions already. It's so sick, man. So sick.
We've got Lee. I'm not sure how much you've got in your notes there to cover. We've got just under an hour left.
Okay.
So I just want you to make sure that you can get everything in what you want to talk about.
Yeah, this is your time.
We won't try and interrupt you too much.
Refer to my notes.
We won't try and interrupt you too much. But we do like to ask questions on
because obviously I have got a couple of slides as well on said subject.
Yeah.
I've got a really
maybe whip one out now, Lance.
I'm going to whip one out right now. This is an absolutely bizarre story from this week. Who's heard about this? The British
the marriage.
The British PDF file who married a 9-year-old girl at Disneyland. He's called Jackie Jagge. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Sounds quintessentially English to me.
Very English. He was detained in the French capital after attempting to conduct a fake ceremony in the theme park. Accused of staging Disneyland mock wedding with child is charged with fraud offences. So he's been charged with fraud.
Get his fucking jumper, Lance.
Right. He's 39 years old, a mock wedding with a child. Let's have a look at some of the details. This is weird. And no one's really talking about this. So he rented... It's scheduled to take place between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. on a Saturday for a price of €130,000. Imagine how much it cost to rent out Disneyland. Yeah. Some people were being paid. Oh yeah, by the way, all the guests were paid. Some of them
actors.
Some of them €10,000.
I have heard this on the news.
Right.
This was on the Peasant News on the radio.
It has been on the Peasant News, but I haven't heard anyone breaking it down. Who the fuck is funding this PDF file? 130 grand to rent out Disneyland. There's a 9-year-old Ukrainian child and a 24-year-old Latvian woman who played the bride's sister. She's a witness. But this guy's got a bit of a history.
He does loads of weird shit.
Yeah.
He set some shit on fire somewhere.
Have you heard of this, Lee?
No, I've never come across this.
This dude's done
happened this week.
This dude's done a few elaborate stunts over the years, all involving children or some.
So young children were hired as extras for a public film shoot starring a PDF file. The BBC's learned around 200 children and young women played fans alongside Jackie Jagge, 38, who is on the sex offenders register. In 2016, he was jailed for 4 years, having been found guilty on 4 counts of sexual activity with 2 15-year-olds after posing as a film producer. This guy's obviously got some backing and some money behind him.
Of course he has, mate.
And look at this. The 2nd of September last year, he blew up a fake BBC van outside the O2 Arena.
That's what I'm saying. Set some shit on fire.
This is weird. This is highly weird. Who is this guy? Where's he getting hundreds of thousands of pounds to stage these weird events? And why is he being allowed to do it? I just thought this was bizarre.
It's very bizarre, mate.
A mock child wedding at Disneyland. Okay, so that was a little interval of my weird story.
Who the fuck does that in France and would expect with their laws, their child marriage laws, to not get caught?
Well, it obviously got shut down within about 3 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. This was like... Who the fuck would think that would actually go through and be a legitimate thing, and that people would leave you alone and you wouldn't get fucking arrested and wouldn't get shut down?
Yeah,
you got to be some special kind of tard.
Yeah, I would say
surely.
I would say so. Yeah. So
what you got there, Lance? Burqa, Islamic.
Well, no.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Well, this is some
white girls are filthy.
This is particularly inflammatory, right? And this is Daily Mail. This is actually from 2017.
Wives of Asian men jailed for raping vulnerable British girls.
Do you know why I put it here? Do you know why I put it here? Because of the name, Yasmin Alibi Brown.
Alibi.
Alibi. Yeah, I just thought I'm just obsessed with looking at the names.
Alibal.
Could be. Okay, so yeah, this weird convicted PDF file staged a wedding at Disneyland with a 9-year-old Ukrainian girl. Absolutely bizarre. Right, Lee, have you looked through your notes?
Yeah, I just wanted to get reminded on. I'm sorry, I was out of view for the mic. I
No,
just
it's
wanted to
fine.
get reminded on some things. As I said, I learned quite a few new things last night, being sort of given information to share on this podcast. And as much as stings, you think a lot of stings go on. We see this regularly. You feel, wow, that's quite a lot. And we talk about the people, like how stupid are they to think this thing can happen? We are literally catching the most uneducated and bottom of the barrel ones when you see a sting.
Yep.
Okay. And every now and again we come across someone that, when the police do their searches, we find out they're more involved. They've got loads of images, loads of material. They've shared it with people. So, you might come across
More of a network.
Yeah, the odd person that's involved with some sort of online group or something, or like there's a network, like seeing a ring, a circle, however you want to put it. Now, I said to them, with the den, as we said, like, they've had up to 250 cases in 1 week. They deal with children daily. And I said to them, like, in the den then, what is the percentage ratio that you normally find connected with organised rings and that? They said at least 70%. So the more serious people are on these sites. We're not catching them on these things. They're more educated, they're more trained, they're more knowledgeable on what to do and how to get away with it.
Wealthier.
Yeah, right. This is what we come to. You say
he
done this video. Now, I don't know any details about that, but what I will say is that if he's involved with some sort of organisation with people that are very wealthy and they want particular kind of images or videos that, for whatever their reasons are, I don't even want to try and understand, could be that he's funded by someone to do that. And the reason why I say that, they come across a person that I think had spent £100,000 on multiple children. And I said, oh, he must have been quite well off. They were, well, no, he weren't. He was living in a spare room and didn't have a job and da-da-da. But then where on earth did he get £100,000 spent on these children? And it turned out he was involved, with certain rings and organisations. So all it tells me there is that people, either a group or an individual's funding, trying to get this information.
The money's coming from somewhere.
Coming from somewhere within that organisation. Now, one of the children, you know how big the problem is. There was viewed an indecent channel with a child in there, whatever the content was, they said it was bad. And it had over 30,000 viewers watching at that time.
Live viewers.
Live viewers.
Is that globally?
I don't know about that, but it probably it would be, because on this site it's a worldwide site.
Like your biggest YouTube podcast would be happy to have 5,000 viewers live.
So is this like dark web stuff?
This is on sites, and I do know the name of a few of the sites. I was told some more last night, but we agreed that we wouldn't share these sites.
But I mean, can
live,
anyone just access these, or is
Yeah,
this some dark
I could tell
web
you an app
shit
now.
where
You could load that app onto your iPhone or Google right now. It's a valid app. It's got a particular picture that makes it look child friendly, and it was one of the main sites that this is going on. And the reason why it's been made to look like a child's app is because it's then unalerting to a parent. You go across your phone and see that, oh, it looks kiddified, that's fine. Okay, and this is what we do. Before we run out of time, they gave me a couple of safety things, like how to layer a device to try and make it as safe-proof as you can for your child, and a couple of things to look out for. So I definitely want to share that.
Go ahead.
What we're going to get to this one particular case, and this one really shocked me. It was hard to actually listen to details, and I have to ask questions because I'd like to know the information, so I know how to try and tackle that in talks and stuff. But even on this case, I didn't ask the details. I just said, was it really bad? I went, yeah. But when they told me what was going on, I went, oh, I don't even want to ask and hear this. So what Lenny told me is that she woke up, and because they monitor around the clock, when they wake up, they actually look at one of these sites, what's going on. And she said,
now, good morning.
Yeah, that's their life, 24 hours.
Yeah,
and if they're not doing it, they've handed it over to the teams in America or Canada who are monitoring, and vice versa. They're monitoring their ones, and they're just working as a team. It's brilliant. You would not know that these people around the world are trying to watch sites to keep your children safe, while you're sleeping, getting on with work. But bottom line is, she come across the title, and she said when she see the title, she had to deal with it. And the title, I quote, the title of this stream, and I quote, and I don't want to say it, but I will quote exactly what he said, was 6-year-old pussy for sale. Okay, and when she clicked into it and looked, she was watching a guy physically rape a 6-year-old on camera.
This is what you were
live.
telling us about.
It was live. And he's doing horrific things.
This is a fucking live stream.
Live on one of these sites.
How many people are watching that?
Do you know what? I didn't actually ask that. I should have, but I guarantee it'd been a lot. And what he
when you say a lot, were you talking like 30,000, like you just mentioned?
I don't know, maybe that, but I reckon it's probably. And
all of these people are paying for this.
Well, I don't know if they're paying. I don't know how that site works. I think it's free there, but what it tells,
that's free, is it? That's just
I
free
think
fucking
the site
content.
Is whether you pay for certain rooms. Well, I don't actually know that. That'd be an interesting question. I'm going to find out, because I'd like to know that how that works. Is every room
because that
free?
To me is, if there's that many people watching that and they're charging
Well, imagine if that's
$5 or even £1,000.
But what you've got to remember is that's what you can get off an app that isn't even on the dark web.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, very good point as well. I didn't think of it that way. That's just a normal downloadable
You
app.
could download that straight onto an Android or an iOS phone.
You could pick up your phone now, go to your app store and download it right now.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, right now. It's not hidden. It's not secret. It's that app on there.
And do the authorities know about this app?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what they've done as well. I won't go into because I didn't get the details, but Cobra have helped me in the past. So I put together a package of safety sheets when I worked with a few schools, and I started to bring in the parents' tools with the schools because I've done all this training with the children. It's different on a public course. The parents bring the kid, so I get to engage with the parents.
Right.
So I have a chat with them before the course, and then we all go in and have fun with the kids. But the parents can see now what I'm tackling without the kids knowing, so it really gets them on board, you know. But with a school, it's different. So when I get booked into a school, I'm going to work 5 hours with the kids. They get picked up. I don't see the parents.
No.
So we started to arrange with schools to arrange a separate parents talk. So for instance, I'm going to spend 5 hours with the school in a couple of weeks, and I've already arranged to go back completely free of charge to talk to the parents on the next day.
Beforehand?
No, after. Because
after,
if I talk before, they sort of know what I'm doing. Whether if I do it after, the kids have been home, they've told the parents what we've done, so they've got an idea of how we've covered it. And then I'll go and go, right, these are the things we're thinking of. So we've told them to do this, this because of this. So please understand, as they get older, reinforce these things into these reactions, these triggers, like the fire drill, when make them aware these problems are around them when they're at a super age. And children are different. I might have a class of kids all the same age. This child knows nothing about this problem. This child knows too much. So it's not my responsibility to choose which child should know what. So I go up to a certain area where it's safe, child friendly, and make sure they know anything that comes under inappropriate behaviour. We follow that same guideline. And then I let the parents know this is the skills that we've installed.
Do you ever have, when you go to like a school or something like that, where you're physically interacting with young children, do you ever have anyone that's come up to you and said, like, I've been fucking abused, or?
Not with children. I've had it a lot with adults. So we cover a lot of
they've
stuff.
They've been abused, or they know of someone who
they
is
have.
abusing?
I've dealt with them. I've dealt with teachers with, because we cover a lot of time. We just talk about child right now. With Cobra, because it's real life training, as I mentioned at the beginning, we do women's safety, travel safety, anti-abduction. We do terror attacks, lockdowns, evacuations, anything that's real. When a knife attack, response plan. I'm now doing programs for security and close protection against firearms, knife attacks, restraints, stuff like this. So anything that's real in the world. And we then, let's put it another way for people to understand the importance of this training, because a lot of people go, my kids have been doing kickboxing for 10 years. And I always say there's two differences. There's sports-based self-defense and there's real-life self-defense. Sports-based self-defense, when you take your child to that class, all you're going to learn is how to fight.
And score
points. Score points. You
points.
Can't bite, you can't eye down.
You're fighting within parameters of a sport.
So, it's rules. There's rules and regulations. It's based on one person.
Still great to learn.
Listen, if your kid's getting bullied at school and they're following all the procedures to try and avoid it and this, that, and the other, but someone decides to put their hands on them physically, 5 years kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm a Muay Thai guy. I'm fully aware there's only a small aspect of that will actually help me in the real life. If somebody wanted to, come and take me from behind, put a knife to my throat, I'm fucked, mate. There's no amount of flying knees and fucking is going to help you in that situation.
They don't cover it, do they?
No, of course they don't. No.
And now I've done loads of traditional.
Because it's all about scoring points. Obviously, in Muay Thai, you're training.
I've just got to highlight. I've got to highlight this comment. Lee Folen invented the first giraffe when he uppercutted a horse. You're getting like Chuck Norris type quotes here, mate. You're getting a lot of love from the community in the comment section.
Keep it going. We'll get a face off with Chuck if he's up for it. Here we go. No, that's cool. I love Chuck Norris. He's a legend of mine. Idol, definitely. But no, thank you. I'm glad people enjoyed it. And you know what? Like, as much as you're saying about me, what I do is a tiny fraction of the work when I'm available for these guys. I wish I could do it all the time, but unfortunately, just like when you got only living, you got to do other things.
You're a humble man, Lee. Humble man.
Them guys, and as I said to them, even they say what we capture online to what's going on is a drop in the ocean. So what I do is a drop in the ocean to them, and what they're doing is a drop in the ocean to the real problem. You really see how big. You've got 30,000
That's fucking
viewers.
mind blowing. If you say you're getting 250 live cases in a week.
Well, that was their highest.
Highest.
Yeah.
With you think of how many are unreported, unlike you guys. But that's a fucking.
And they're the ones that we can come across. They told me there was one particular paedophile ring. They told me the name now. I wish I'd written it down. But
and this is in the West.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, if you're online, it could be anywhere, can't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you can be anywhere. It could be going on anywhere. And they said they had one particular group that organised. They would create a group for 24 hours, they shut it down for 24 hours, create a group for 24 hours, shut it down, just so they weren't detected. It was hard to trace them. And they're properly thinking about this, properly organised, knowing what they're doing. And it's not silly people. And like, prime example, that one with the child, the guy, when you said like he was doing stuff on site, he had his WhatsApp number up and his bank details on the page. offering to go out to other
Just
people.
ready to go.
Just on this site, blatantly. Boom, yeah. Police were called. They called the police, got them in. Police went around there, and I'll quote, this is what they told me, I don't know more details, and we'll give you the name. This is factual online. You can check out the report. We give you the name. In fact, Lance, I think I sent it to you last night.
Yeah,
one of it. This is actually the thing with it. So when the police turn up there, they're watching the guy online.
This is this case where there's somebody
this is
advertising
this
online,
case right now. You
live
see it
stream,
online. Yeah, you can see it.
6-year-old girl getting.
Yeah, and this is a den case, but because it ended up being shared publicly about the arrest, this is why I'm being allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
If it weren't made public in any way, shape, or form where it's public knowledge, I wouldn't be discussing it because.
Blow this up, Lance.
Sorry, yeah.
I do if you can see it, but anyway, yeah. It's have you got his
breaking a man charged with 4 offences against a child 11th of June 2020. A group of PDF hunters were involved in the arrest of a 35-year-old man from Dagenham. Scott Cording from Beacon Tree Avenue was charged today with 4 offences against a child under 13 years old. Mr. Cording appeared at Barkingside Magistrates Court and was charged with assault by touching of a girl under 13, causing incite with sexual exploitation, taking indecent photo, pseudo-photographic of a child, indecent, a whole list of charges. He was remanded in Snaresbrook Crown Court Wednesday, 8th of July. So this is from the Havering Daily.
Yeah, it's this case. So, yeah, you can check out the details. Whether they show all the horrific details that went on, because obviously they only sort of show select things, but the charges talk for himself. If you look at the amount of charges he got and what he done. But yeah, he was advertised online. Police went around there, and from what I was told yesterday, again, I quote, he pretended to be a paedophile hunter that was there doing it. And the police officers actually, from what I've been told, my understanding was believed him and left the premises. So our head hunter, Jay, who's part of the hunting team, was set into action to go down with him, started working with the police to find him. When they turned back up for him, he'd done a runner. They found him hiding in his car with loads of images of the child and also a childlike sex doll. That's what he was called. So this is this guy, this case. It's a real life case.
Thank you.
You've been light on the buttons tonight because it's just been pure fucking carnage.
So these things go on, it's a lot. I've done work around child safety.
How often is something like that, Lee?
On these sites, it's constant.
Constant.
These things, these people are doing.
This is happening
What,
constantly.
live streaming
Maybe
children
not extreme as that.
getting raped.
Maybe not extreme. That's an extreme case, but you have constantly every day got groups and rooms where they're constantly trying to coerce or groom or.
I dread to think what's going on in other countries, where it's they're cool with that kind of stuff. It's not,
When no one's monitoring it, no one's bothered.
No one's giving a fuck. I dread to think.
Yeah, people are still. It's still like the 70s. People are just turning a blind eye to it. Oh yeah, that stuff goes on.
Yeah.
But people used to be like that in this country. With back in the day. Oh yeah, that stuff goes on. Yeah.
But this is why it's got so strict, the regulation. This is where I say, let's go to now. We talked about the problem. Let's go to solutions now. Like, how do you deal with this?
Yeah.
And when we said about swimming, it's like putting a lifeguard everywhere. Well, we've called teachers. There's been police officers, like Wayne Cousins was talking about that, to say everything. A police officer they're human. It's a human problem, not a professional problem. So depending on what that human's capable of doing and where their mindset is or what they believe they're able to do, that's where so when you've got police that have been caught for it, you've got teachers, you've had uncles, you've had relatives. Oh, sorry, I'll tell you the other factor to that story, this guy. I said, who was he to the child? Because one first question said, how did he end up being in a position where he was able to do this to a child online? And whose child was it? And the mum, it was the mum's boyfriend's son, I think it was.
Wow.
So the mum's boyfriend's son used to be used to babysit for a child. And then this is how this.
And how old was he? In his 30s?
30, 35, I think he said, or 34. I think he said it in the news report.
34.
Yeah, so and what they was talking about yesterday was saying how terrified are they to think he's probably out. And he could be with another single mum with a child.
When I was going to ask you that, Lee. What happens when you guys are the ones who have given the package to the police? That's it. They've got them. They've gone to jail. They've gone to court, gone to jail. Do you guys then monitor when they come out or anything like that?
Oh, good question. Actually, I'm not too sure if they're keeping an eye on them. I wouldn't be surprised because how efficient and good this team are and how passionate they are about what they do. So I've never asked us actually. See, I love this because it's going to educate you more. I'll go back and ask them these questions.
The re-offending rate was
because I mean, if I was you and I was involved with something like that, I'd want to know how long this fucker's got, when he's going out, if he's going to stay in that area.
You can guarantee that the re-offending rate in PDF files is much higher than your normal
Mate,
offender.
they can't be rehabilitated. When you're that, am I right in saying that, Lee?
I'd say the majority of them is say urges, whatever.
It's something you do. It's something you do. Yeah.
It's same as it's something that most people don't do. No. You will never make them do that because I'd never be doing anything, no matter what the circumstances are. So it's got to be something kind of internal, whatever way you want to put it. Where I'd say some do it probably out of choice because they get urges. Some probably might not be able to help it for whatever reason. I don't know. There's probably all different versions and variations.
I don't know if you're aware, Lee. There's a guy on YouTube called Andrew Gold. His podcast called Heretics. He's got another channel which he started before that, and he actually went over to Germany, learnt German, and was speaking to I'll call it a charity or organisation, which PDF files come to them and ask them for advice. They get like therapy and stuff and help but this charity or organisation isn't allowed to give anyone's details to the police or courts or anything, and they actually hooked up and they did an interview with this Andrew Gold. He learnt German, did an interview with this PDF file in the field, and he said that it's safer for him to be around children, he's a teacher, so that he doesn't offend. He says if he's not around them, he craves it so much that then he would go and do something bad. And this is it's on YouTube, mate. It's we'll send you the link to it. It's only a 20-minute, half-hour interview, and they're in a field. Like there's a kids playing football and stuff with parents that flying kites and shit, and they're both just sitting on the grass. You don't see the guy's face; he's got his back to you. But they're talking.
So was he being allowed, even knowing what he was, to still continue working with children? Is that what he was allowed?
No, because nobody's allowed to give his information to the authorities.
He's only confessed to this charity.
He's gone to this charity, and this charity is not allowed to give information to anyone. And this guy's a teacher.
It sounds like one of those charities that stops like rapists and that getting deported.
That's exactly. Yeah. But he says he's open about it. He says I can't not be around children because then I'll offend. He says I've never offended. I'm sexually attracted to these people, these children.
Is he one of those people they're trying to push as an MAP?
I would imagine so. Yeah. And this is.
You obviously know about this phenomenon, Lee.
No, and this is where prime example when
it's
I say
fucked
that
up, right?
you
it's
lose some
up.
of your rights. You should
it's
be allowed
fucked
the
up
right
that
to
this organisation cannot give the police that's
based on that.
Really fucked up.
They should almost have an obligation or a clause where anything past these parameters.
Because this is what I was getting at. We were just mentioning there that these people can't be rehabilitated.
No.
So
we have similar institutions in this country, like the German one you just mentioned. It's called PIE, the PDF Information Exchange. PI.
PDF Information.
You must have heard of this, Lee.
No, I don't. No,
oh, you don't know. Right. So PI is an institution that goes back to like the 60s and 70s. It was pushed by some quite influential Labour, one guy called Peter Thatchell, who's sort of a gay rights activist. But it is literally the PDF Information Exchange. That's the name of this organisation, PI, and it still exists in the UK. And it is what it says on the tin. It's an information exchange for allegedly non-offending bad guys.
This is exactly the same kind of organisation, and they allegedly swap techniques of how to not offend and how to get over your urges and shit like that. Well, I think we all know what's going on here.
I think what Lee said earlier on was quite salient. A lot of these stings are actually picking up the sort of like the gutter trash that are stupid enough to fall for them. And the higher you go up the bell curve of IQ in these bad guys, they're obviously working out that they need to stick together to share information in an exchange or a network or a ring, even if they're not high-level bankers and stuff like that. Even your people with average professions that are a bit switched on, that have this perverse, fucking demonic tendency, they're definitely going to be sticking together and getting organised because safety in numbers.
Well, I was made aware of something last night. I went, wow, is that a case? So they took and said, you know how some people go into prison if they're that way inclined, actually come out worse because they come
Yeah,
out with
for
more
sure, for
connections,
sure.
they
Yeah,
end up
yeah,
coming out
yeah,
more
yeah,
understanding
yeah.
of certain crimes and what to do rather than what not to do.
Or they come out as an Islamic radical.
Well, yeah, we spoke about that as well then. But with
go in a
this-
blonde-haired, blue-eyed English lad and come out fucking screaming Allah Akbar and strap on a dynamite up your ass and walk in the Waitrose.
That's because where they're in there, they're meeting certain types of people that they're latching onto. So they've said they've had cases, a couple of cases where a guy, one case they referred to, he got 3 years jail time for doing like a sting level one. And when he come out, he was then found later on apparently on one of these sites doing all this stuff. And
Yeah,
they
I'm
said
sure.
it's because he'd gone in, probably linked with like-minded
Gone
people.
onto the wing with all the other PDF
Got
files.
the info.
And now
then
he's been...
Are they allowed
swapping
to
stories
mix
about how not to go back to the wing where there's no kids.
When you're in nonce jail, you're on a separate wing, aren't you? You're on the nonce wing.
VPU.
Are the nonces allowed to interact with each other?
Yeah, it's a VPU, so it's a vulnerable prison unit.
So are they allowed to like interact? So you got nonces with nonces.
You won't just get them though. You'll get maybe more vulnerable prisoners, i.e., they're just not made for that kind of life. They've ended up in
Retarded
prison.
people.
No, not even just normal people that are just not built for that kind of conflict, but they've ended up in jail somehow, and now they're around.
What's
a lot
the
of
then
violence.
they'd be around a load of fucking
vulnerable
nonces.
people.
That's even fucking worse.
They're what you call genuine vulnerable people.
Yeah,
they need to be away from it for them to get
because
through
they're
their
just going to
time.
get terrorised in Gen Pop, as they call it in America. But that, do you know what the word nonce comes from? It's not on normal. It's the word. It's an acronym to say they
For
can't
not being
be
on the wing.
Not being on the normal,
normal
part
wing.
of the wing. That's what it comes from. Yeah,
Nonce.
That's what they say. Not on normal something e. Someone in the comment section will know this, please. That's what.
Lee, how much have you got there? Or can I ask you a question?
To be honest, with that, we sort of covered most of the cases there and just going into more details with that. Just showing more what level of thing, what sort of sites are out there. So this isn't it happens here and there. This is a everyday round the clock problem that's happening in all different countries around the world, but on apps that every child has access to if they go into the wrong app. And what they gave me, one thing I really want to get at was they gave me what they call layering a device for your children. So it's how to try and make it safe. It's almost like putting certain firewalls in place on a device. So
okay.
If you want me to go through that, if you've got
that's great. We need to hear that.
Rather than talk about problems, give a solution.
Sure.
And also I just give a connection to maybe my page, who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seek training for their schools, or not just schools. We go do when the Save Everything happened, was working with local councils, delivering female safety, travel safety. But we end up in a vehicle with someone, and it goes a funny way, and you need to defend yourself or get out. So
like taxis.
Yeah, taxi. It could be a friend that's took you somewhere. And they've got
a friend's
intention.
brother.
It could be your daughter's first boyfriend, and just dropping them home. Like it could be anything. That happens. But taxis are a prime example. Everyone gets in Ubers and taxis and stuff like that, and it's a stranger. It's a stranger. We've had cases reported where people have been
King of
attacked.
Sting. There you go. Not on normal criminal exercise.
There you
That's
go.
what it means.
Normal criminal exercise.
Yeah,
King
I knew
of Sting's on it.
Because that show that came out recently. What was it called? With Adolescence.
Nonce hunting.
And they got with the kid that got killed in the Andrew Tate psy-off of that show. And they spray painted nonce on the side of his van.
On his van.
Well, because that was on Netflix, it was seen by a lot of American viewers. And a lot of the stuff on Netflix is actually very cross-Atlantic. They have American and English actors in it. And it's sort of some of the stuff you can't really tell.
They wouldn't even know what nonce meant.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. None of the Americans knew what nonce meant. So they had to explain it on the news. Not on normal... where's it gone? Not on normal criminal exercise. Yeah, you're not in the same exercise yard as all the other criminals.
To be fair, Gary Garner, he got it as well, just above King of Sting.
I love the comment section. If we forget what something's called, that comment section, sort it out quickly.
I don't say it, no doubt. Obviously, we all know the word, but I've never known.
Yeah. It's
so
it's
the breakdown is for that.
It's an old prison acronym.
So we'll go through this layered device if you want.
I think this is important, mate, because we've got parents watching.
Yeah, I'm going to make it very short and easy because it's easier to follow. And obviously, when it comes to training or doing stuff, it's simple.
Please do. I'm not a tech guy either.
Me neither. I'm a great teacher, but anything technical, I have to get other people to do that. So,
me too.
So basically, they said, look, it's a layered device. And when they say, if you think of it like firewalls, and if you've got one firewall up and they manage to get past them in your device, they call it layering because they put all these different levels on it. So I'm literally reading this. I learned this last night, but I made notes of it because I wanted to get it right. So they said, one of the main things they told me to tell parents to look out for is App Store. So if you're checking your child's device, always look at recent apps, deleted apps, because it will show you apps that have been deleted. They have come across cases where bad guy, almost made your mistake there. Bad guys, as we put it, have been convincing children to load up a streaming app. They've been doing inappropriate stuff and then getting the child, say they're communicating with them through WhatsApp, getting the child to delete the app So if parents or anyone checks their device,
Look
it's
on
not
their phone,
there.
it's not on there.
Yeah, and then when they're engaging with them again, they get them to re-download the app and then get them on there.
Right.
So they're being very clever about it, trying to hide it. So what they said is always check deleted apps, deleted or recently downloaded, because then you also see the ones that are not on there.
Okay, take note, guys.
Yeah. So this is a way to see whether your child's looking at any other apps that they shouldn't be or being told to delete it and so on. The other thing was they said use Google Family Link. Yeah, which is again an app on there, so you download it to both devices.
So is that so? Like, I take it that's where if a child's got a phone, it's looking on Google, then the father, mother, or guardian, whatever, can probably see what's going on,
maybe
what they're looking at.
Maybe some screen mirroring.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So this is some of the things they told me it does. Email alerts. It notifies you of all downloads. You can monitor what they're on and how long and so on.
Yeah.
It also age restrictions on there. But here's another thing which is really good. You can turn your child's smartphone into a brick phone from a certain time of night.
Into a what phone?
A brick phone, like say,
Yeah.
So basically, you could have
just remember to get right into that.
Sorry, buddy. So like all smartphones we've got now, this will make you say from 9 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Your child's phone becomes a brick phone to a time when you say, so it disables all those abilities, but you still have the ability to contact your child and message and stuff. Okay, so which is quite a good thing because it's technology that's making this more accessible.
Yeah.
Another thing is,
I'd argue technology's made this a problem.
Well, it's made it more accessible.
So
think about back in the day. This problem's always been around, but how did you?
I'd argue it's more of a physical problem than it wasn't. You know, you might have a nonce on a phone, making a phone call, but there's no emails or no online chats or anything like that before the internet.
Before the internet, it had to be done in person.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it's more of a physical.
People would see what they called a local pervert or whatever you called it, trying to engage your children or being around parks and stuff, because basically they had no other way to access. That's the way they done it. Whereas now online allows them to access more than ever and engage, and also it allows them to take care of the grooming process to befriend a child.
You could be a remote bad guy over the internet.
But I could be a 12-year-old, pretend to be a 12-year-old if I really want, couldn't I? And talk to them at their level, and find out information and find out this and find out that, and try and relate and get them to meet me as a 12-year-old. Yeah, and then really my intentions are different. So the internet's caused all sorts of problems there. And I could have pictures of my profile showing it to them. They're going to believe it. Well, I've seen a picture of them. So it gives you gives them a much better angle.
You can have a back catalogue of profile pictures to make.
Yeah, you could make them think whatever you want visually as well. So basically, lower the age on their Wi-Fi. So you can see already there's 4 or 5 things to do there. That's what they said by layering a device. Put all these different layers in. So if they manage to get through one, the other one's got it covered. This has got it covered. That's got it covered. So the other thing they said was, this is something I learned. I went, of course, disable all pop-ups on your child's phone.
Okay.
Pop-ups that come up and your child are pressing.
It's fucking annoying anyway, man. Nobody wants a pop-up.
Yeah, but as an adult, we ignore them. But even as adults, we get tempted to go, what's that? Click. Even if we're not interested in them, we know what a pop-up is.
Mate, I've clicked on pop-ups accidentally when I've tried to click them off.
Yes, annoying.
And they sometimes some pop-ups have a fake off button just schwabbed over the top of the actual button where you're going to go and click. Do you know? Have you ever had that?
So you can't get to it without clicking on it.
Yeah.
So a couple things with that. So what they said, the last thing that I really did think about and went, that's very important, is hand-me-downs. A very common thing that happens, hand-me-downs. And a mistake people make, they clear their phone, they reset it, but they might leave it attached to their email because it's easier, so they can put stuff on there. And what that does now, because it's attached to an adult's email, it then bypasses all the safety procedures for the child, because the child's safety procedures you want to put on there are all linked to age range. So what they're being allowed to do now is things based on the age range of the.
So would a factory reset sort this problem out?
Well, I think so, but I'd say the main thing is just check is an email connected to it, and if there is, get rid of it and put a fresh one in, which is specifically based all around the perimeters of that child's age.
Yeah,
does that make sense? And then there's no mistakes.
Because let's be real, a lot of the times, a child's first smartphone will be the second-hand hand-me-down smartphone that their parents have, from last year, the one that sat in the drawer. And I'm pretty sure I only know Android, but when you press that factory reset, when you sign back in, you have to put in a fresh, at least a Google address before it will do anything. So factory reset your phone.
Yeah, a lot of parents might not factory, because some parents might go, they want that still be to the email because it's got the access to it, it's got the phone set up.
Right.
I've deleted all the apps, I've deleted this, I've deleted that. So, but now the child's phone's registered to an email that's got all the details as a 30-year-old or 40-year-old. So it's going to allow them to access things on that rather than it being set to them at 12 years of age or whatever it may be.
Of course.
And then all the restrictions are active to that age rather than the other. And the other thing just to say is, there's a couple of things they told me about. I've not had a chance to watch this. I was going to try and watch it today, but I didn't get a chance. Called the Pantosaurus. So it's called Pant Song from NSPCC.
Okay.
And it's really aimed at around the 4-year-old range. And it's like a fun kids song that goes through a few things to tell kids about not to let this happen and that. It's important. It's age appropriate. I've not seen it myself.
So it's pants like P is for A is for N is for.
I think it talks about a little fun song about keeping your pants on at certain times.
Oh right,
keep your
keep your pants on.
It's a fun sort of song for
Right.
the kids. I haven't seen it myself, but this is kind of what's explained to me. But it's definitely used a lot. It's age appropriate.
Yeah.
4-year-olds, and it gives across a fun.
Because do you reckon that's a big barrier for parents, especially with younger, small kids that aren't teenagers, that aren't even 12 years old, that are 7 or 8 years old, to talk about this stuff when they might not have even had the birds and bees conversation with them? I guess it's the way you frame it, and the language is quite important. So, so if people are already providing these tools and this framework, then that's the part of the barrier already climbed, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just the way it's delivered and what the focus is as well. Going back to what we teach, when we're teaching children, child safety stranger awareness is what we call it. It's our CAP program, child abduction prevention, but to the children we promote it as child safety and safe stranger awareness, which I'll go back to as well. We come away from stranger awareness because we then reinforce behaviour awareness. Again, please remember that most cases are a connection to a child. Real cases like it might be a teacher, it might be a relative, it might be a friend or a parent or a relative of a friend. Unfortunately, there's been cases where it's been self-defense instructors or piano coaches or tennis coach or police officers committed a crime. So what we want them to focus on more is behaviour awareness. So no matter who it is around them, they recognise that this behaviour is not correct. And I now need to take these steps towards sort of countering it. And more importantly, just for parents to understand, I work with, I wouldn't like to think thousands, maybe 10s, 50, 20,000 children over my time with this subject. And every time I go into a classroom with 30 kids, I say to everyone, right, who knows what a stranger is? To explain what a stranger is, somebody you do not know yet. Yeah, that's the perfect answer to who a stranger is. Right, can we go to strangers for help? And probably out of 30 kids, 3 will put their hand up to yes, and 27 will say to no. And in fact, in most instances, not just as a child, but as an adult, it's strangers that will help you in most cases. Yeah. What we want, and kids are scared to go to strangers because every stranger is bad.
In the West, it is.
Yeah.
In the West. Anyway.
So imagine now your child, this, forbid it ever happens, but let's just set a scenario. Your child's walking home from school, they've come across a very, very, very bad guy. They've tried to engage whatever your child's managed to get away. Home's 3 miles away, and your child's trying to make their way back to home first. And they could have been several places they could have gone to where they could have got help. It's just being really important to make sure your children understand that and know what the options are, because it could be a case of the best help for them is that person over there, stranger. As I said to Lenny last night, I said, prime example how bad it is. If Lenny was walking down the street and a child was running past him in that circumstances and stopped to Lenny for help, she would probably be one of the best people that could ever help that child. And yet we're teaching them to run past all these people. So you really have to enforce into more about recognising behaviour rather than strangers. Strangers would be people to help on.
I think with strangers, it's really fucked up, right? Especially here in the UK, with English people particularly, because like we're very placid as a nation. I think, right? It takes a lot to rattle us. I'm pretty sure if there was a busy high street and there's some shady shit going on with a child and some old fella, like there would be probably 90% of people just walk past. There would definitely be a few who would step in and be like, "What the fuck's going on here?" But I think a lot of people would just walk past.
Well, when I teach the courses again, we talk about creating awareness.
I'm not. My point was, if a lot of these people, if they walked past, if the child actually ran up to them and said, "Can you help me?" they'd probably stop and help.
Yes,
but naturally, that I think.
Mate, I've seen videos recently. I've seen recently videos of attempted child snatchings off the street, and people walk past.
Yeah, that's
someone's
what
actually getting snatched. Not
I've
someone
seen that.
walking along the hand where they're almost getting bundled into a car. It's
Whereas
crazy.
if I think a child ran up to you and said, "This guy's trying to fucking bundle me into his car," you would naturally you would be more inclined to help than just to stop if you saw something that you thought was a little bit weird.
Yeah, well. This is when I give you an example, we talk about people creating awareness, we talk about myth busting. And remember, there's the whole state of people say, if you've ever been attacked or raped, just shout fire. Because people are more inclined to respond to fire. Because we know a fire is a definite problem. Now, with most
For
people,
everyone.
exactly.
Fire's
So
a
you know
problem for
you've got to
everyone.
react, you've got to do something. So when it comes to like something seen, it's like a kid getting picked up and running into a doorway, most people are really rushed. They're stressed. They've normally got somewhere to be on their way to work or getting home or picking up kids. And if they are not that sort of way in mind to think about these sort of problems, they will justify it as something normal and keep about their day. And 5 seconds later, they probably forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy past the guard. That's nothing.
You've got bills to pay, man.
Sorry, Joe. So they've just got other things going on. So we teach kids how to really hide. So we say to a kid, how do we let someone know? We shout 3 simple things. Somebody help, leave me alone, I don't know you. So we want to make it very clear to passers-by that I need assistance. I don't know what's going on. And I don't know this person. This ain't my mum or dad. This is a stranger, Because very quickly, if they walk you past or whatever, they go, oh, hold on, no. Oh, no, I need to stop. I need to see what's going on. Whereas if you get a kid just wave and make a frantic scream, they might look at it and go, oh, they're playing
they're
like
having a flare. Their parents,
they're playing like
so
dad.
they can't have the Lego. Or whatever.
Exactly. How many times have you seen a mum dragging a child along to school in the morning because they're upset?
They're
or in
throwing
the
the right
supermarket.
tantrum.
It's in the supermarket or in the store, when a child wants something and they say no, they can throw a right strop and the parents just drags them off. Well, you don't know if that's actually their parent, do you?
Exactly. And people will justify it. People that are not criminal minded or not this or not that or not exposed. I said, when I've done a talk to one of the parents talks last one I've done, I had about 25 parents in there. I said, right, who's seen stings? So I can sort of get an intro into my conversation. And out of 25 parents, only 2 hands went up. I was shocked. I was like, wow.
Mate, Lee, I remember, right, when I was a little boy, like, I used to go to, if my mum went shopping, like, me and my brother would go to Tesco's, she'd like, we'd just say our mum was staying in the toy aisle. She'd go and do the shopping and we'd come back. You wouldn't fucking dare do that these days, I don't think. No, you just wouldn't.
My parents were always very hot on this stuff for a reason I'll tell you in a minute. But one thing that, and I was, when I was a little kid, my dad took me and my brother into a room. Okay, if I'm a stranger, I'll take you away. What are you going to do? And I just punched my dad straight in the balls, and he was like, oh, that's great. But one thing that my mum would say is she would never let me have a T-shirt with my name on it. You know, you go to a thing, you know about this one?
Yeah.
And the thinking of it is, if you were a little kid and you've got a T-shirt with your name on, then a bad guy can come up to you and go, hey, Lance, my mum's just come up to you straight away. And this was always drilled into me. And do you know why, Lee? Have you heard of America's Most Wanted?
Go on.
It's in America. It's like Crime Watch, but it's this guy called John Walsh, and they go after predators, and they do live stings. And because this guy John Walsh, his kid was abducted in the early 80s. And they found his head floating in the canal. He was decapitated, and he was actually friends with my aunt and uncle. They lived in Florida, and they grew up. They knew this person. And when my mum used to go over to Florida, now these people are Hollywood people now. They've got this big show, and Fox News and everything. And I grew up with this story about Adam. There's a movie about him. It's called Adam. You know, and it was some serial killer PDF file that caught him in a shopping mall. He went missing while he was shopping with his mum in a large American shopping mall. Yeah, and head found floating in a canal.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So you can imagine, this was like one of my mum's sister's friends after my aunties moved to Florida. This is in the 70s, 80s. So I grew up with that kind of stuff. So I was always trained from a little kid, you know, stranger danger, because like you say, back then it was all about a stranger rather than a family member. So that was always something that stuck with me. I was never allowed a T-shirt with my name on, and I was a bit jealous. All other kids had a T-shirt with their name on.
I never had a fucking T-shirt with my name on.
Maybe it's something you get when you go on holiday and you go up to the thing and they've got all the T-shirts with all the
I don't know.
names
I
on.
never had a T-shirt.
No, you don't remember that?
No.
Maybe comment section? Was that a thing or what?
That's very vain.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing.
So you're like 5 years old. So give me a break. Come on. Right, we've got I'll tell you exactly how long we've got left. 14 minutes. Right.
Okay. Can I just give one bit of information out?
Yeah.
Last thing, obviously, a lot of people haven't read the comments yet, but I'll look at that later. But you're saying a lot of people are getting a good reaction to it. Look, if anyone wants to check out who we are, what we do, my name's Lee Folen. Obviously, I've got an Instagram page, but more importantly, I've got Cobra Defence London on Instagram and Facebook. And then you really want to know about child protection, check out Glenn Stevens obviously in the States, Australia, under Rhino Tactical Defence. And one of our main focuses, what we do, we deliver training, we go out to schools, we do parents talks, and out there, I think the COBRA program's been involved with a couple of kids that were involved with an abduction, a real life abduction. It was all over the news.
Right,
so it's news reports done on it, and they said it's the skills and certain things that come into play that made a difference. So, if you want to check out more, find out more, look us up, feel free to contact us.
There you go, guys.
Sure,
you know where
a
to
lot of
find
people
it.
that do want to find out more. And Lee, I just want to thank you massively. Hearing about this from like yourself, someone that's on the front line that's actually doing this work is frankly, amazing. And I just want to say a massive thank you. And I'm sure we could probably go on for another couple of hours with these stories from you, but
I'm not sure I want him out. I feel dirty.
No, I know.
I need a shower.
But just before we do go, I wouldn't be doing things properly if we didn't address the big hot potato, the burning topic in the UK at the moment.
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button now. I just went for the explosion.
Around grooming gangs
Here
and
we
stuff
go,
like that.
here
Now,
we go.
it goes without saying, I shouldn't need to say this before we talk about this topic. Predators, groomers, PDF files, bad guys.
Tommy Robinson.
They come in every shape, size, creed, colour, nationality.
Religion.
However, a certain situation has arisen in the UK that at one time, until not too long ago, to even talk about this as a phenomenon was considered your far-right, white supremacist, right-wing conspiracy theory. But now, we have the Telegraph here with something from just this week. Police plead with asylum seekers not to harass or abuse women. We've seen all of the stats which were apparently used to be poo-pooed. How much of, well, first of all, I want to ask your general opinion on this stuff. Is it being blown out of proportion by the media? Is this a general phenomenon? Is this a cultural clash? What is your take on this stuff, Lee?
And do you know much about this stuff, Lee? In your field of work, like this, I would argue, is a bit different.
Yeah, we haven't really come across anything direct to this myself, anyway, that I know of. It's individuals more.
I'll tell you a quick story before you go on, Lee. We've got a hotel in Bournemouth called the Roundhouse. A girl was abducted in a van from a night out in Bournemouth and taken just up the road to this hotel and auctioned off to, and this is an asylum seekers hotel.
Yeah, there's
true story.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm not going to deny nothing like that. I watch a lot of content online because I like to do it to keep in touch with what's going on. Obviously, a lot of stuff you don't get to see on mainstream news for reasons.
That wasn't on mainstream news, or even in local news.
So, is it a real problem? Yes, it's a real problem because I know for factual stuff that groups of certain groups in certain areas have been taken through the court system. They've been found guilty. They're doing prison sentences. So it's got to be real. If that process.
How do you feel about government complicity in this? In councils and police departments, in places like Rochdale, Rotherham, Birmingham, Telford.
I would love to know what really made certain people turn a blind eye to this because I wouldn't be able
I think it's more than just being scared of being called racist. I think it's a lot more than that.
Is it backdoor deals? Is it financial? Is it politics?
Because here's the thing, it's a double scandal. The fact that it was going on in such a disproportionate scale per capita for the demographic group is one issue. But then we've got the second massive issue that it's definitely not just been ignored, maybe not just covered up. There was, from some of these reports recently, there seems to be some level of complicity, even with some of the local services from these reports.
I'll say it's the Labour councils.
Yeah. Well, whatever the connection, we do know one for sure. If the local authorities had acted on it and dealt with it properly, it probably wouldn't be talking about nowhere near as big a problem.
No.
So it's the fact that, why does the problem get worse? Well, either it's undetected, or if it is detected, it's been allowed to get worse. Does that make sense? So, but we know that.
But the question is, why do you think it's allowed to get worse?
Oh, I wish I knew, because everyone says that.
Because that's the scapegoat thing. Oh, I didn't want to get called racist. That to me is fucking bullshit.
Well, yeah, and to be honest with you, I'd be embarrassed to say that weren't it, because it's such a feeble excuse.
Yeah.
Such a
wow,
feeble
good
excuse,
point.
Yeah? So, is that really how high your professionalism goes? And
Precisely.
Your
and
ethics
these are allegedly the people that are running the country, making decisions with mine, yours, and Lance's taxpayers' money.
I'm just going to go straight to it, Lee. We've sort of postulated that this whole situation has sort of been, in a way, created deliberately to inflame, because perhaps some of the elements of powers that be would like civil unrest and would actually benefit from a huge cultural war in the UK, because it seems like they've created the perfect storm.
Yeah.
A lot of disenfranchised, predominantly young reproduction age men from potentially incompatible war zones, failed states,
cultures
have been brought here, and you know what the obviously the thing that's happening in it then is being either ignored, and it's like they're deliberately gaslighting people.
Well, I know whether I understand it or not, I do know one thing for sure. When you talk about refugees and people fleeing a country, it is always a mixture. You will have single men, single women, but you will definitely have families and children amongst those. They're the most vulnerable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's actually 85% fighting age males.
Yeah, exactly. So just that alone, and obviously, I think
this isn't like when we had Ukrainian refugees, where there were actually women and children coming over. Where
I remember
fucking drafted
refugees
to fight,
back in the day would be like a woman with a massive thing on her back with loads of kids, literally like just. You like those people were
dusty as fuck.
Those people were definitely refugees. These young guys are coming over. They've got designer clothes, smartphones. Some people are even postulating that these guys have been deported from other countries because that happened.
In the US,
Gaddafi did that to the Americans.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He just kicked out all the people out of the prisons they didn't really want, shoved them on small boats, and sent them over to Florida.
Yeah. And also, you've got to look at it in other ways, like there's all the unrest where not integrating. And look, if in the UK things went a certain way, and I absolutely hated it, and hated what the UK become, I definitely would go to another country and start preaching I want it to be like the UK. Does that make sense? I want it to be everything but how that was.
But you'd be preaching how much you want it to be like the UK, how it used to be.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe whatever. I wouldn't be going there trying to impose my rights and beliefs on
and make it
how
it's
how
fucked up.
Because I've just run from that apparently. I've just tried to get away from that. So why am I going to bring it with me?
Because we've all seen the videos and stuff of how Iran and Afghanistan used to be before an Islamic revolution.
Yeah.
And now, like,
I was talking to someone the other day about, and I've got some really close friends, some really good friends. I was talking to someone the other day about, and his family and all that are from Iran, they're out there. And he said most of the people out there want that it's horrible that they're going through the war and the bombing, but if that's what it takes for them to get normal life back,
they want it.
Then they'd be it. And if you watch the reports, you see a lot of them are cheering and celebrating it because it's not the Iranian people that's the problem, it's the regime.
Well, it's actually it's strange in Iran because you've got the regime, which is technically the government, but the Ayatollah has all say over the government. So when you talk about the regime, is that you talk about the government or you talk about the Ayatollah? That's the issue. They want the Ayatollah.
And the bigger paradox is that the regime before, where people were allowed to be westernised and wear miniskirts and stuff, that was a puppet installed by BP, British Petroleum, and the fucking CIA, the Shah of Iran. So it's like, which one do you want? It's one of those, isn't it? So I think this is a very nuanced conversation about this stuff because like me and Lee, we work in combat sports, which has got loads of Muslims in combat sports, which everyone gets along with fine. And
were they raping white girls in fucking Indian takeaways?
No, they weren't. That's the thing.
Right. Well, there you go. That's the difference.
And this conversation has to be more nuanced because you can't talk about Islam all as just one thing. There are regular Muslims and there are radical mariner Islamists.
You've got warring factions within Islam. You've got like the Sunni Muslims versus the Shia Muslims. Like it's not,
and also equally, you can't
talk about the Huish.
You can't talk about immigration all as one thing. The kind of immigration that's happened in the UK for decades is not the same as all of these fighting age males that are turning up on boats. If you try and talk about that as the same thing, you're against immigration. No, we're against this. Not people that have come to the West because they want to come and add something and become, and be a doctor or open a shop or whatever. It's like no one's against that.
A doctor or an engineer, Lance.
I'd be an actual doctor or an engineer. You're not this.
That's an incomplete question, though, is it? Are you against immigration? You're against illegal immigration.
Legal, because I'm against retarded immigration.
I'm against weaponized immigration.
Even legal immigration at a retarded level, I'm against.
Yeah, you got. Well, I don't know about that because when you turn around and say like if they're legal, they're vulnerable.
We can't just sign everyone off and be like, well, that's legal then.
No. Because what I'm saying, if you've gone through the process, you've been vetted. The whole point is vetting someone.
Yeah. But the issue is, I think the what's going on right now with these radical mariners, we call them here on the show, that are coming over. I think the problem is they've got a quote unquote backlog of asylum seekers. I personally think instead of deporting them, they're just going to sign them all off and be like, right, we'll let them in. Then we haven't got a backlog anymore.
Yes, it's almost like it's kind of what they're doing with the prisons.
There won't be any
vetting
vetting time. Yeah, just fucking get them through.
Let people out.
Yeah, don't worry about the vetting.
Well,
and again, if like what Lance just said, this is an orchestrated thing to cause civil unrest. Well, why wouldn't you just wave on through and sign off everyone so they're legal residents of the UK and fucking we don't know who's an Islamic terrorist.
And once again, right, look at the fucking name of the person who does this thing.
Charles Hamas.
Charles Hamas. They're taking the piss. They're taking the piss with this. Right, we're coming to the end of the show. Lee, I just want to say thank you again, mate. Thank you for coming and joining us on our weird
great talking to you tonight, Lee.
and wonderful
Really good.
trip through Clown World. And you've come with some hard-hitting shit tonight.
Have you got any last thoughts, Lee? We've got 3 minutes left.
I'll say, first of all, just say thank you guys. Give me the chance to chat about this properly and just get that exposure and get it out there. And also, big thank you to people like Cobra Hunters UK, what they're doing. Forget me, just what they do for families, unsung heroes, at no beneficial, financial benefits. It costs them money. It costs them probably a lot of money to do it.
I'm sure.
And they just do it because it's their passion and it's the right thing to do. And yeah, I think it's one of those groups that people probably don't even realise or don't appreciate just how much they do behind the scenes. So big well done, thank you to them and any other team, not just them. I'm just connecting with that team. Any other team doing that work, and very grateful to people around me, friends like you. Combat sports family is the best. I absolutely love the people I'm surrounded with by that.
Yep.
And my teachers, definitely, because without their input and skills.
Awesome, man. There's so much love for you in the chat here, Lee.
Yeah, and stay safe, everyone. I hope it's helped. I hope some of the safety tips have. And if you want more knowledge or more information, then feel free to reach out.
Yeah, big up, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. So, guys, Instagram, Cobra, what was it? Your self-protection?
Cobra Defence London.
Cobra Defence London.
Facebook, or then my name's Lee Folen. Obviously, I've got my Instagram where I share everything I'm doing, whether it be security, close protection, combat sports, child safety, whatever. That's
Yeah, so mods, we saw some links earlier on. If you can get those up as well. So, Lee, thanks for coming, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you in the studio. We really appreciate it. So, guys, like we said, we are actually back live again next week. Let me just get the awesome thumbnail up. See how I'm killing it with these thumbnails at the moment. Come on. Look at this. The hotel inspector next week.
Whoa.
Mate, this is going to be dope. AY Audits, who's been live in the migrant hotels, is going to be joining us
It's
next
clearly
week.
racist.
Okay. And make sure you get your tickets for the event. And remember, if you don't want to buy a ticket for the event, you
Far-right thugs.
You can sign up to Patreon. And everyone that signs up to Patreon goes into a raffle to get a pair of tickets. We will announce that on next week's show.
Listen, I'm going to stick my foot far right up your ass.
How long have we got left? 1 minute, 50 seconds. So yeah, that's on the 4th of July, and then the next live show coming up.
The 4th of July
is the 18th of July, and we've got Indigo right now, the hottest young conscious content creator, smashing up Instagram. He's talking about all the.
Do you know what you've done there, Lance?
What?
You've only gone and booked him in when I'm at Beat Herder Festival.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you knew. You asked me months ago, when's Beat Herder Festival? I gave you the dates.
Shit.
And you've gone and booked in Indigo, child. That's what you've done.
Shit. Yeah, I can't come to Beat Herder because I've
got... Oh, no, you can't. You said you couldn't come, so you clearly knew the fucking dates.
I've got Cage Steel the next day.
So you clearly knew the dates. Yeah, you booked in Indigo, child.
I'm going to have to handle this guy on my own, mate. Right. Okay, we've got to go. Guys, we'll see you back live next week. Get your tickets to the event. Rise Above.
Word to your nan.
Don't ever forget.